Welcome, guys, to the next podcast I have with us here, Derick. Cheers, bro.
Cheers.
Derick.
Thanks for coming on.
Oh, glad to be here.
Yeah, very glad to have you here. You know, this guy almost didn't make it here.
Yeah.
You know, he had a very challenging day at work, so I'm very glad that he came on. But all it took was a tomahawk steak to entice him.
Well, once I heard all the preparations you made for me, it seemed dishonorable to not show up.
Yeah, it better have sound in that one.
Welcome, Derick.
Yeah.
No, but it was really nice to have you, and I figured, plus like there was steak. We had a tomahawk steak from Whole Foods, which was surprisingly really good and not too expensive for the money. It was only like $50, so it was good. It took a little bit long, but that's because it's a thick cut. It's like almost 2.5 inches. Oh, very good steak. But yeah, man, I'm glad you're here.
Delicious.
For those of you who don't know, Derick, he is a friend of mine who I was in high school with up in like freshman year all the way up until now. And I'm not really friends with a whole lot of people from high school, so holding on to those that are still real and still cool. Derick's definitely one of them.
Oh.
And in fact, a lot of the mannerisms, I was telling Jason this earlier, I was like, dude, a lot of the mannerisms and the things I say are really because of Derick. A lot of, even my choice of beer, we were picking out this beer. I was like, dude, even the choice of beer that I have is really shaped because of Derick.
Oh,
You were like,
Bohemias.
no IPAs.
Bohemias.
Thank you.
Oh, no.
I'll have some IPAs, but it's
Once in a while.
Yeah, once in a while, but it's not like my go-to beer.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even. What beer is this that we're having right now? What kind is it?
Oh, this is actually a Guinness coffee cold brew.
Oh, okay. I haven't even tried it.
It's their first foray into
Cheers,
coffee.
and I put it down. Isn't that dishonorable?
Yeah.
In which culture?
That's true. I don't even know. But anyway, cheers,
guys.
Let's taste this.
All right.
So you guys don't know.
Oh.
Is it coffee or is it
Very-
water? What am I drinking?
It's
I
more
put- I put
coffee
the-
than beer, if you
I
ask
put the
me.
Guinness in here.
Oh,
It tastes very coffee. I mean, I can definitely sense the beer in here, but it tastes way more coffee-ish. I'm not really into a whole lot of dark beers, but if they're dark, it better taste like coffee. This is good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Glad you like it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm liking it too.
It's in checks. See, like there's these things that we say where it's just like, in checks. And it's just like, I don't even know how we came up with that. Like, how did we start saying that?
Well, it originated from shit sex, right?
Yeah, shit sex. And then I think you shortened it to
Checks,
checks.
yeah.
Which brings us back
My.
to the ultimate question. Lan
I know.
or Miss Ruth. I sent Derick a picture of Lan this morning.
Oh,
For those
my.
of you who don't know, Lan is an abomination.
Yeah.
Was, rather. I don't know. Were we asking this before? We're like, dude, what if she became hot?
Hi.
And then it's just like she shows up to the reunion. It's like, hey, guys. And she's like a supermodel.
Whoa. All right, guys, whip out the yearbook. We're going to do a comparison.
Oh my God. There is no comparison. It might as well be the same damn picture.
It's funny.
That's funny.
That's one of the first questions Derick and I bonded over because actually, although I knew of Derick back in high school, freshman, sophomore year, junior year was really the time that we bonded, was because we were stuck together as roommates for the overnight retreat in Malibu or something.
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
So it was really cool. It was a really good time, and we were just reminiscing over a lot of high school memories. He even said that Deporto raped me.
Yeah.
Of course, it's not true. If you're watching, but that fool did try to kiss me.
Yeah.
That I will attest to. He will vehemently deny it, but I'm telling you right now, that fool tried to kiss me.
Oh, man.
Sick ass fool.
All right. Yeah, you're gonna see Tim Santos on the witness stand pretty soon.
Witness stand or on the milk carton box, when they used to put See, they don't do that for kids anymore. They don't do that anymore.
Well, that's mostly for missing kids. Not,
What if Tim goes missing?
well, that's not,
Who
have you
even
seen
buys
the
a milk carton anymore? Does milk still come in paper
Yes.
boxes?
Yeah, like
Really?
like the half gallons usually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah.
I thought that's all I haven't seen milk come in a paper box
Usually,
in a long time.
the quarts is usually in plastic, and then
Yeah.
the halves in the paper.
Because there is
and the
no
gallons in
gallon
plastic.
paper
Yes.
carton.
Maybe there should be a gallon paper.
Why?
At Costco.
Costco.
wholesale.
Yeah, dude, you can get it in bulk. What if you? Dude, they make gallon milk.
That's true.
You know?
if there was a place to do it, it'd be Costco.
Yeah,
big
right.
box.
Exactly. But yeah, dude, that's like I can't even think about like all those things that happened in high school. It all added to our memory and all that stuff.
Man.
It was a good time, you know. And again, like I don't stay with friends with everybody had different life trajectories in high school, whatever that got them. In fact, a lot of us are having kids now,
Yes.
you know, first, second, third, some maybe even fourth, from what I hear.
Man.
Yeah.
Some even got
Unfortunate.
separated and divorced. Well, obviously, none of us have kids, so we can pull off stuff like this where we don't have child responsibility.
It's true.
You know, so yeah, we can do stuff like a podcast and commit to it and whatever. But yeah, man. So that's where we are now, dude.
Yeah, man. Like you said, like there's only a handful of people you really stick with from high school, because
Yeah.
because you're essentially kids at the time. So once you grow up and start going to college, you start finding the things you really like in life, and you tend to grow apart from those people. But Tim is definitely one of those who, is a friend that I know I'll have for life for sure.
And
Yeah,
those,
man.
Yeah, those were those formative years. Did you guys feel like, in those early high school years did you guys feel like you would keep the same batch of friends? Did you want to hold on to them post graduation? Just curious, because for me, not that I had no intention of keeping any of those friends, but it wasn't a goal. I knew that everyone was gonna part ways post the senior year.
Yeah, I get you.
Did you feel like you were gonna hold on to those?
I would like to say
Some of those
I
friends?
wanted to be
You
friends
wanted
with
to.
a lot of people
Yeah.
out of high school forever.
Yeah.
Like, there's still some people I see from time to time, like Gio. Like that guy's cool, like, and all those guys like Jay and John. I would see them. I would see John at times from work when I used to work there. Not that I want to talk shop on the podcast, but rather, it's just like I would see those guys and they look cool and they look good. And social media helps bridge that gap sometimes.
Yeah, that's
Right.
true.
Being in the valley.
Yeah.
Makes that kind of
Absolutely.
facilitates that, like, oh, you might bump into your high school buddies.
Some of them.
Some of them.
Some of them like had moved way far away.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not necessarily in our same class, but I know some people who've gone to like Australia and they're living their lives there and they're having a good time,
Yeah.
But it's like some of the things that me and Derek like to bond over are just like kind of like Lord of the Rings, which we were just talking about before.
Movies,
here.
for sure.
Movies. Yeah. We were just talking about the Godfather and how it was recently in theaters, which, regretfully I didn't get to see, but like, how was it though? Like, how was the experience in the theaters? Because that's the one thing I wanted to experience was seeing a major film like The Godfather on theaters. What was that like?
Oh man, it was a totally different experience. It's actually my favorite movie that I've ever seen. So having this opportunity to see it in theaters was mind blowing for me. And I've watched it, I don't know how many times over the years by now. And seeing it in the theaters was almost like watching it again for the first time, because
Ooh, that's
it's
awesome.
a whole different experience. Even at the beginning of the movie, there's a little excerpt from Francis Coppola. He's saying like, I'm glad that you guys are able to sit here and experience the movie as it was meant to be experienced. Wow. And then, then the movie rolls. And there's so many little details that you don't notice in the audio, even in the visuals.
Really?
And then since you're in the theater, you're immersed in the movie. So it's like you're there. It's like you're looking Don Corleone in the eyes, or you feel the tension of when Michael has to assassinate Salazzo and the cop.
Yeah.
You feel that tension so deeply. So it was quite the experience. I loved it.
Did you also feel it when Sonny got assassinated?
Oh man, yeah.
we joke about Sonny's death a lot because the way he died was so morbid.
Yes, man.
The Godfather. If none of you've seen The Godfather, it is quite a film to watch. And I don't watch a whole lot of films, but I'd say The Godfather is a quintessential movie to watch. Very big in our culture, especially seeing Al Pacino so young, seeing Marlon Brando like at the peak of his career, I would say. And then even Godfather 2 is one of those rare sequels that are still good, so
That are comparable to the original,
Yeah, that are comparable to, like Empire Strikes Back is another one. Two Towers is another one. Sequels are somewhat hard to get right.
Yes.
But yeah, that's The Godfather. Back to that.
Yeah.
Very, very good.
Would you guys
film.
say that Terminator 2 was a...
Oh yeah, Terminator 2.
Okay, yes, another exception
but that's
to the
also
rule.
I just wanted to clarify.
but also that's because Terminator 1 kind of sucked.
Yeah.
It wasn't
That's
it
true.
wasn't as
Clarify
good.
that.
It did set the storyline up. But Terminator 2, you're absolutely right.
I just wanted to clarify.
You're absolutely right. Terminator 2.
Also one of my top 5 movies.
Yeah,
Nice.
Terminator 2 was
Same.
amazing. In fact, you feel like that's going to happen soon. Or at least I do. I feel like machines are going to take over.
Oh yeah. There's no doubt in my mind. My phone is going to wake up and murder me in my sleep. It's like, this useless human being.
At the place I used to work at, there was this robot that started delivering supplies to wherever you were at in the workplace, and that's essentially somebody's job that was eliminated.
Man,
Was
Tim,
it,
I like how you made it all vague.
But it's so true because every time I would see it, I would play the Terminator music in my head.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. At my workplace, I could do the same because it's semi-automated.
Oh
stuff.
yeah. Well, his is
For stuff.
His is just going to be a bunch of snipers. It's going to be like Squid
Right.
Game, where they like shoot you from a distance. and
Wait, I
stuff.
didn't
I've
see
never
it. I
saw
didn't see it.
Squid Game.
Same,
but
same,
everybody
same.
refers to that. Bit
It's actually a really good show. I'd recommend it.
really.
Very good.
Well, what's it about?
Was it a
Like,
game show?
What's the premise of that
Yeah.
show? Like, you can spoil it for me.
And explain,
spoilers
yeah.
in case you haven't watched.
Yeah, spoil it
Squid
for
Game.
us. Spoil it for us.
But I don't
Oh,
care.
you haven't seen it?
I don't care.
please,
you know?
please.
Well, just a brief explanation. It's sort of like, how do you explain it without a?
Without spoiling it, no, please. Spoil it.
It's so like these people are brought to this island. It's usually desperate people who are in like massive debt.
Oh,
So they're taken to this place where they have to play these games, and the winner of the games, or rather the survivor of the games, will win all this money. Oops, excuse me. And they, for each person, they put in like an amount of like, let's say $1 million per person, right? So everybody starts in with $1 million ante, and the more people that die off, the more gets added to the pot. So these people are basically meant to play these games where, people die off and then the winner gets the money. So it's basically like,
there's only one winner.
yes,
Oh shit.
at least in the show, there's only one winner. I don't know. There could be other
Okay.
outcomes, but it hasn't been explored.
Dang. Is that gonna get a season 2? I heard it was.
I think so. From the ending of it looked like it's going to get a
So
season
it's
2.
ambiguous a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's fictitious, right?
Yes, it's fictitious.
Okay.
But
No,
it
it
could.
happens in North Korea.
My. But it's something that could possibly happen. Like, it's doable in real life. You know what I mean? Like, if the rich elite can put something like this together, which is basically
right.
what it is. So it's a commentary on like the classism and
Yeah.
the rich versus poor type of thing.
Yeah. I like those social commentary series or television sometimes. So
Dude, show that lighter off.
This
That
one?
lighter looks so dope.
So this
That looks like a flashlight, honestly.
it's the Cigar Tactical. It's a
Tactical lighter. Oh wow.
yeah, zoom in on that flame, Tim.
nuts.
Nice.
Dude,
It's
that lighter
a-
looks so awesome.
It's a torch lighter that I recently bought for my for cigar lighting if you're outside in a windy area, and it also doubles as a cigar stand. You can put it on top
Oh,
of it.
cool.
That's why
It's
it
like-
has those little divots.
Cool.
So,
Nice.
Oh, that's pretty awesome. Yeah, we got some cigars. Probably gonna have some later.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
we'll
cool.
definitely enjoy it after this.
Post
Yeah.
post this, but yeah, man, that looks really freaking dope. But I mean, like, it's not like we're heavy smokers or anything. At least I'm not. By heavy smokers, like, no, we're not cigarette people.
It's not a daily.
We're not vape people.
Yeah.
It's not something I do, at least.
Yeah,
But
likewise.
I also respect people who do it. And I think that's what adds. I know a lot of cigarette smokers get like a bad rap. And really, it is bad for your health to smoke in general.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's also like the liberties and freedom that we have here in America, is that we can do stuff like that. And although, yes, like I probably briefly smoked for like 3 weeks, like straight. And this was like maybe a few years back. But I hated waking up. And it just felt like shit, and I just didn't like the way I felt. Plus I was going through a really hard time. I think my dad got sick, and then I picked it up just for a little bit, and just to kind of like get that hit. But then I hated waking up. I hated the fact that I had to go out of my way to get cigarettes, and it was just bad. So I canned it. I haven't frequently smoked that much, but I'll be honest. I've smoked like cigarettes with some like coworkers previously because they would smoke, and especially when you're kind of drunk, there's something about it.
There's an appeal to it,
or the post dinner, whatever heavy meal. It's like
I've never. People say that people are like cigarettes after a dinner
after
or
meal,
sex,
or with or like you said, with drinking. That's also very
or
common.
with drinking. Yeah, they'll drink like a coffee. So Bart, my cousin, you remember, he would talk about that. He would talk about having cigarettes after breakfast and then having it with a coffee, and it's like a really good feeling. Well, I mean, you're getting caffeine and nicotine at the same time. I can see
double
why.
dosage.
Plus, tobacco goes good with coffee. It usually does.
Because coffee is another plant that you have in a different way.
That's true.
And
Same with tea.
Same with tea. We were saying this the other day. About how like cigar, like the last cigar that we had together, I had with jasmine tea. It tasted really good.
Yeah.
Like it accentuated both flavors.
I wish I would have tried it with the jasmine tea. I just had the oolong.
I bet oolong was good too.
Oolong was good, but
Bon.
Yeah, it's starting to sound like boba. It's like we had it with boba.
that's a good point.
No,
but the oolong is a little
like
more
legit just tea and water, tea leaves,
Yeah,
and tea bag and water, hot water.
but the oolong's more like neutral in flavor, so it doesn't really add to the.
But jasmine's more aromatic.
Yes, exactly. So that's why he probably had like a better experience. So I'm curious to try that.
Jasmine, I like jasmine tea as itself, but dang, with the cigar, it was wow, and it made both of them taste better.
Nice.
Like, it wasn't just the jasmine tea, it wasn't just the cigar, it was both.
Like they complemented each other.
Yeah, they complemented each other. I don't know why, it was a new experience to have it that way. So dope, so good. Plus, like, you think about all these movies that make like smoking look cool, like Lord of the Rings.
Oh yeah,
Like when they have that pipe smoke.
Well, Tolkien himself was a pipe smoker. That's why he employed it a lot in his writings.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Interesting.
Is that why like they have such dope ass pipe scenes?
Yeah, because it was something that was so much a part of him that he
imparted
put
it. Yeah.
Exactly, imparted it into the books and the
Made
stories.
Bilbo do and Gandalf like hang out with the smoke. It's funny. We were talking about this, but like I know there's that one scene in the movie where they go into Saruman's like stash room after he dies, and then they pick up the leaves.
The two barrels.
Yeah, the two barrels. Yeah, they're like these small barrels of like leaves, and it's just like I don't even know how to begin to explain. Like I don't even smoke, but I wanted to smoke those leaves just because they made it look so good in the movie.
It's the long bottom leaf.
Finest weed in the South. No, that's not the one. But this guy actually ended up getting the tobacco they did smoke on set.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
Because I'm actually a pipe smoker.
Yeah.
More than anything, and I've been smoking a pipe consistently since 2016. So I watch a lot of videos on YouTube and of other pipe smokers and stuff, and of course you pick up information along the way.
Yeah.
And I ended up finding out the exact blend that they smoked on the set of Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, for that matter.
Yeah.
So I bought myself a few ounces of it, and I shared it with Tim. It must be a couple of years now. A couple of years back. Cool. They still have some.
I still have some in that mason jar. It's sealed out of the light. I don't know if light alters it, but either way, I just keep
Yeah,
it
it's
out
fair
of
to keep it out of the light.
Yeah, it should.
Yeah, any
Yeah.
tobacco, you keep it out of the
I
sunlight.
usually keep it out of the light and sealed
Yeah.
properly.
Mhm.
I rarely smoke a pipe. In fact, the only time I smoke a pipe is with this guy because it's just part of the experience. He gave me this pipe that looks like an avocado, so I call it the lawyer. Because the lawyer in Spanish is abogado. I think it also in Tagalog. It's also
In Tagalog,
Probably.
Yeah. So
Many words in Spanish
Guys,
translate.
if that's not friendship, I don't know what is.
Yeah.
So,
let me check if this
That's
camera's
cool.
recording. I think it's shut down.
oh no!
Oh, yeah,
What
go
happened to
for
my
it.
Canon. Shut down. Okay, battery.
Oh.
We'll do battery on down.
Sorry for the technical difficulties, but Jason's camera was being weird. He should be on right now.
And we're good.
All right.
Hope
better
so. Better be.
We're good. We're good.
But anyway, yeah, if it doesn't get all over the place, it doesn't
Belong in your
mouth.
face.
The commercials were just so much better back in the day, right? I think the only guy that's kept commercials really good is Jack in the Box,
Ah.
right? I feel like he's the only guy who still makes commercials really funny.
Mm-hmm.
Like I haven't seen a Carl's Jr. commercial in forever.
I don't know.
Do they even
same.
exist?
I mean, we stream everything nowadays. So
Maybe on
it's-
YouTube.
Possibly.
I haven't seen it either. Did you know that Carl's Jr. on the East Coast is called Hardee's?
Yeah.
Yes.
He knows he
I
lived.
believe I've
Though I
heard
didn't
that.
see any when I was in Boston. I love Boston so much. It's cool. I'll go back.
I went to North Carolina 2 years ago, and I noticed that it looks extremely like Carl's Jr., but it's called Hardee's, HARDEE
You were like-
apostrophe S. And
were
I was like,
this
dude,
guy's
this
a
is
suspect.
this guy's suspect. Like, dude, this is a lawsuit waiting to happen here. And then the person I went to visit, she was like, "Oh yeah, this is what it's called here on this side. They don't even call like the Western bacon a Western bacon.
What?
I don't think.
What?
Somebody comment on that.
Eastern
And tell me
bacon?
my
Midwestern?
Southern bacon,
Southern bacon?
Southern states.
Yeah, it's not even called bacon. It's just ham. It's like, wait, what? Man.
Billy.
You think about it. Like I was so dying to have Hardee's there, but really I was just like, why? It's the same burger, I'm sure. It's just
Yeah.
called something different. I
No,
don't know
okay.
if at one point they were something
Here's the
different.
real question. Did they have the green burrito side of Carl's Jr.?
Oh yeah,
Right.
there is a green burrito.
Man,
on
I would
most
frequent
Carl's Juniors.
I would frequent the taco salad. No, it's taco salad. What is it called when it's in the taco shell? but it's
Yeah. I
Taco
forget
salad,
the name,
right?
but I know.
Taco Bowl.
taco bowl or something. Oh man, those are the days.
I don't know that I ever had that from the green burrito, but there was a real Men of Genius episode on that. Where it's just like only you can justify having 12,000 calories in a bowl.
Man, see, they won't even let that run these days because everyone's conscious about
Oh, God.
whatever diet sort of health incentive now. But yeah, it's different now, man.
Real man of genius.
See, that's another
That's a
one where
great one.
commercials
Or
were
the
just
Gillette
so
one.
much
The
better.
Gillette one.
Which is the Gillette one?
There was a jingle. I mean, it was still the best a man can get, but it was like there was like a jingle associated.
Do you
with
know
it or
that
something.
one? I don't
No.
know that one.
Do you guys remember that one?
I don't.
I'm gonna have to look that up.
Or the anything you can do, I can do better. Michael Jordan.
Oh,
Which-
okay.
those were classic.
Ooh, those were
commercials.
classics.
Anything better than you. Those
Yeah,
are
those
good.
were
Yeah,
good
I
commercials.
remember that
I feel
one.
like well, I think also what
Yeah.
that has to do with is like we didn't have the luxuries we have now, right? Because now you can skip. You can skip ads in 5
Yeah,
seconds,
exactly.
or
Yeah,
sooner.
yeah.
So they purposely make
Yeah, so
little
you can't-
ads that last that long.
Yeah, like a 30-second ad in
Mhm.
YouTube time is like forever. Like I'm not sitting here to watch an ad. I skip ad all the time. You know? Like there's only maybe two ads that I watched. One was like a Skip Bayless ad because he pointed to like this is a skip ad because he skipped Bayless.
Oh, that's
Skip Bayless is
kinda
a
cool.
former ESPN commentator, and I
yeah,
think he
yeah.
does like sports on with Shannon Sharp on their own show.
complete
Yeah,
idiot from what I can tell.
He's just a troll, bro.
No.
Dude, that guy's ripped. Skip Bayless is old, but
Really?
he's ripped. Dude,
Oh, I
he
didn't
is
know.
ripped.
You can never tell.
Dude,
couldn't
it's
be-
because he's wearing a suit. He goes to the gym.
I guess that's true.
Skip Bayless is for an old guy, he's ripped.
Aye.
shout out to Skip Bayless. I'm gonna tag you in this one, but dude, that guy is ripped. Like, he's a freaking troll too. And I think honestly, like ESPN First Take was so much better with him and Stephen A. But it's just not.
Oh
there
yeah,
anymore.
yeah, for
Like
sure.
it was fun because Stephen A. is his own kind of character. I think really just what gives him a lot of character is just he shouts a lot.
Oh yeah, and all of his words that he says.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's like horrible or anything.
No,
I think he's
no.
actually pretty good.
I'd say
as
they're
a
both
sports-
pretty knowledgeable.
Yeah,
you know?
I'd say they know what they know, but at the same time, it's like I think Stephen A. likes to shout a little too much. I
Yeah.
think that's just part of his TV
Well,
personality.
Exactly. That's the value of both of them is the characters that they are. It kind of brings that controversy or that comedy to the.
That's so true. That's their dynamic together is what really like brought that on. But they're just back to like ads and stuff like that. Like you just think about how things used to be, and it's just like so much cooler and so much better. And things just aren't like that anymore. Things are just started. Like I think I'm not saying it's bad necessarily, but I think our culture has become too much the other way, where it's too sensitive now.
Right.
Like maybe before we were insensitive. I mean, there was a time that there were TV commercials about cigarettes.
Oh yeah.
And there was probably a time when doctors recommended cigarettes to people, as a legit. I think I was watching the King's speech, and they were recommending that the King smoke cigarettes before his speech.
To relax him.
Yeah.
Oh man,
but,
I couldn't finish that film.
No.
But Jeffrey Rush,
It ran.
Oh, Jeffrey.
he was in that movie. He was the guy who coached the King, I think,
yeah,
to talking. I could not look. I cannot, because of this guy. I cannot look at Jeffrey Rush as anybody other than Captain Barbosa.
Hector Barbosa.
Hector Barbosa, man, another great series of films that I think.
Another thing that me and Tim nerd about all the time. We always do the voices and quote it like.
Amen.
A lot of the stuff we say is also because of that. I was talking about this on Sunday. I went to go hang out with a couple of friends who we went to downtown Disney, and one of them said they got fairly belligerent, and the Disney police had to throw them and throw them out of the park. They're the guys with they're wearing a white button long sleeve with blue pants and a little straw hat.
It would have been funny if it was Mickey Mouse and Friends.
It was goofy, kicks your ass.
In costumes. Get out of here.
Dude, it would be funny. But yeah, they ended up getting kicked out.
Okay.
I don't know. We were
No way.
Did you get thrown in Disney jail? And then I was like, dude, if I get thrown in Disney jail, I hope it's at Pirates of the Caribbean. Where's that bloody dog with the keys?
You're part of the ride.
You're part of the ride? Why is this guy in there? Why is this guy in there?
Oh, fuck.
Somebody get me out of here. Yeah. Dude, that'd be funny, right? Holy crap.
Oh, man. Oh, Disneyland.
I haven't been to Disneyland in a bit, but I know they're starting to open up again.
Yeah. Well, they've been.
Fully.
Yeah.
And I know actually when we went to Whole Foods, there's people who don't wear masks anymore.
Yeah.
We're moving on. And I'm very happy for it, man. I'm very happy we're moving on with this kind of stuff. And that we're moving forward, and then we can have concerts again.
Yeah, there's
and all
progress
these big
right
things, and I know people I know there's some people who want it both ways. Who want to have all these masks and all these mandates and want to stay at home, and then there's people who which is fine. And then there's also people who don't want to wear a mask and just be out and do whatever they were doing before, which is also cool. That's the cool part about living in a country like this, where it's you can kind of do both.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously there's some things that are a little more the court of public opinion is fairly strong. So if you're not wearing a mask 2 years ago, this was a big deal.
Yeah.
Nowadays,
or last
with the
month.
vaccine and with people getting sick, and getting these antibodies, it just shows that the proof's in the numbers.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about this subject too much because we're gonna get labeled as spreading misinformation.
Yeah, exactly.
Some other people are, but the fact of the matter is that it's the letting the mask mandate go a little bit and minimizing it rather is already a good sign.
Yeah.
So you can attribute it to these good things that have happened, that people have these antibodies, be it the vaccine or the actual sickness or both. Some people got both. You know?
Well, on March 12th, they're supposed to lift the mandate, right, in California?
Altogether?
Well, at least, yeah, altogether. I work for LUSD, and since, when was it? 1 or 2 weeks ago, they said we don't have to wear the masks outside anymore. So, which is nice. We're halfway there. So if we're out of the classroom, we're outside, we can take off our masks, the kids and the teachers and adults. And then we started discussing about, well, on March 12th, they're saying that we don't have to, wear them in schools anymore. Like, does that apply to us? But supposedly the unions already made a contract with the district that they want to keep the masks on, at least inside the classroom, till the end of the year.
Okay.
Which it's fair, but I think they should consult, or at least reconsult with the teachers to see if the consensus has changed.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Public opinion is very strong, and it really depends on what the majority vote is and what people want to vote in. Because honestly, it's just like, I think the thing about wearing masks, that if you want to wear one still, I think that's okay.
Yeah.
Because I think they work.
Mm-hmm.
I've been around people who've had COVID, and up until now, I still haven't gotten it.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been around people I've been around people who've had it, but I didn't get sick because we were both wearing masks. So there's something good to be said about wearing a mask. So I think it's very plausible, and I think it's also cool if you don't want to wear one.
Yeah.
This is the country we live in. We don't live in Russia, thank God.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Where like those
Or
people can't
Ukraine.
even, or Ukraine. I mean, we're obviously more on Ukraine's side.
Yeah.
Because they're getting bullied by Russia, so we're just kind of helping them out. But this is a sign of the times we're in. Well, depending on when you're watching this podcast,
Yeah.
or listening to it, at this moment in time, Russia has invaded Ukraine. I think it's day 13 or 14 now, and they're not going anywhere. By they, I mean Russia and Ukraine. They're not going anywhere either. They're keeping their country.
They're standing down. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're standing up rather.
Yeah, they're standing
Trying
up.
to.
The whole thing with Ukraine is that they're getting a lot of help from the West, even though they're not a Western nation. And Russia totally messed up logistics. Like from what my YouTube research yields, I've watched extensive videos on Russia and the fall of the Soviet Union and all these things. So I'm no expert. I don't claim to be, but just, at least from what I've been hearing and seeing on YouTube, they were saying that Russia's attempts to take over this country have fallen short because they were thinking it would buckle within 5 days. And the longer they prolong this, the more the ruble has been constantly being devalued. I think you can like a penny is worth more than a ruble now.
Yeah.
So it just sucks for them. And then like today, the president banned all Russian oil.
Well, that's why fucking gas prices are going up, right?
But you know that Russia only supplies 1% of our entire oil here.
So what the hell's going on, California?
We're paying for the war.
Yeah, essentially.
We're paying for it. We're the ones financing it. How else? How is it? It's so if Russia bans oil production, and somebody's gonna be able to comment on this or talk about it. It's like, how is it if Russia produces only 1% that comes to us, that we see more than just a 1% increase? So obviously, there's more that goes into oil. I'm no expert. Somebody can comment on that, or somebody can talk about it, but I don't see it. Like I don't see how gas prices are being so heavily hiked up. My only thoughts is that we're paying for this war, or we're paying for Ukraine to help out, and we're also paying that we don't have. In some ways, like paying for gas is a small luxury in compared to what Ukrainians have right now. Yeah. They're losing their homes. Okay. They're losing their land. Maybe we're just losing a little more money off the pumps, but at least we don't have to deal with what they're dealing with.
Absolutely. Okay.
That's a way to frame it, where it's just like, yeah, gas prices are high. And even the president alluded to that. But you know what? It's further pushing the incentive to get electric cars now too, which I'm not heavily against them. I think they have a great benefit, and I think they save a lot of money. But I think they're just not ready yet.
No.
You know, it's going to take a transition.
I'm not ready yet.
I certainly am not ready yet, but I would get one. I get a Model 3. Those are nice cars. You know, James has one. He has a really nice Model 3.
Jim Boy.
Yeah. But yeah, like, you know, I'm very happy with the cars that I have. Very happy with my Honda Accord.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good car.
Your Honda.
Yeah.
Honda Accord. I'm very happy with Team Toyota. It's my first foray into Toyota. Thank you, Toyota, for making the Lexus. It's great. Great car.
Yeah, it's a really good car. But yeah, you know, like I just don't know that the infrastructure is necessarily there yet for all of that.
Yeah.
So, but I know they're trying to get it ready, and I know they're trying to really make it happen. And I think the initiative that's being pushed now is let's make electric cars so we don't have to rely on any oil, and we don't have these wars on oil. But throughout human history, we've all fought over some sort of resource. Yeah, I think there was even a war at some point where they fought over salt. Salt.
Yeah.
Well,
Have you heard of that? Do you know what that's about?
Salt was so valuable, you know, back in the day.
Well, I mean,
now, but
I mean, it's still kind of valuable, but it's like killing someone over salt. That happened at some point in time. I don't know where and how, but I'm sure like people have fought over stupid things, like seemingly stupid at least. Like salt was like a salt mine or something.
Yeah.
Such a huge, like, you know, I bet people have fought over smaller things. People have fought over smaller things.
Yeah.
There's some people who are willing to fight over you for some arbitrary thing that they don't even know. You know, they don't even know the truth. Some people like to assume things and then go to war over them, you know? And I don't think, what I think about that is like, I think people just need to talk. What I like about this podcast in general is that I think it brings people like us together. And if people want to listen and if people want to join in on the conversation, they can too. I'd like to have them here. I'd like to talk because I think people love to have drama, or I think people are addicted to certain it's maybe also a form of protection,
right?
When they don't like to talk because they don't want to be exposed to being wrong,
right?
You know, and I think when people talk out things, they're able to not only convey the feelings and the emotions, or what they think or what happened, with hopefully cool heads, but they can also be exposed to being wrong, which is okay. Like, I think that's very important in our culture today is that I think with the older generation, like my parents and so on, and like they don't want to ever admit they would be wrong. I don't know if it's a parental thing. I don't have kids. So, but the point I'm trying to get at here is like, I think talking is good because, you know, it'll hopefully hash out the details. So if only Ukraine and Russia talk.
Yeah. I mean, what conversation, real talking it out brings about is, room for seeing perspective from the other party, offers resolutions too.
Yes.
So, I mean, once you talk it out, you're able to put yourself in the other party's shoes, and see maybe you were wrong and it's okay to be wrong.
Yeah.
You know?
Or you try to find a middle ground.
Yeah.
That can satisfy both sides, you know. Yeah. Which easier said than done,
of
obviously.
Of course.
You know. And that's the thing about politics. It's so, I mean, without getting too polarizing, like say you take a subject like gun control, right? Everyone agrees that there has to be some limit of gun control, right?
Yeah.
However, you know, left side and right side, they'll say, yes, there should be gun control. But the debate is to what degree? And instead of just arguing back and forth, you know, oh, you're wrong. Well, let's talk about it. Let's try to find at least a happy medium. Let's try to work through our differences in you know, politics to figure out what's a better solution. You know, and so many times people just want to put up a wall and say, oh, you're for this, you're left, you're right, you voted for this person. Forget you. You're not going to understand. It's not about converting, trying to make you think like I do or vice versa. It's about let's see what we both think. And maybe I can learn from you, you can learn from me.
Right.
And become smarter and better for the experience.
I think people like to get really emotional about topics like that. You know? So I used to work with a couple of people. One was from the South, very red, very right-wing. And she voted for Trump. I didn't vote for Trump either time. And, that doesn't necessarily mean I hate the guy. It's just that the media really caught me, really hooked me into thinking he was a bad guy. When there are some good things that I think that he did, although albeit I didn't think he was a good face for America necessarily.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
I can see it that way, but in retrospect, it's like this other guy, at our work, he's gay, and we know Trump to be, at least from what the media portrays. I don't know Trump personally, so he may or may not be, but he was portrayed to not like homosexuals or something like that, or he's just portrayed to be more of a racist, right? I know they said something about him like not allowing people of color to work at his casinos when he visits. I heard that in an NBC documentary. So whether or not that's true, I don't know. But we know Trump to be this kind of like thing because of what the media says, right? And what gets me is like these two people that I talked about those things, and they were so emotional about it. Where if they didn't talk about that, they would have never like fought. Or they got such in a heated argument about politics, and it's just like, but why? And neither one of, more so the gay guy, he didn't want to hear like the other opinion. He just said like Trump said this, and that, and that may or may not be true. But like, I don't understand why you can't just still be friends, or you still like you can agree to disagree kind of thing, because. Although we'd like to bring people here who are more synonymous with us,
right?
This fool's falling asleep. He's like,
Guinness is.
That was not coffee. That was Valium.
What a riveting subject we're delving into right now. Clearly,
he's not engaged. But like the thing is, like,
listening.
People are people like to get so emotional over things without talking it out, and because I think. In my mind, I think that's a form of protection. I think they don't want to talk these things out because they don't want to be exposed to being wrong.
Yes.
Right? They don't want to...
Or perhaps the truth, too.
They want to believe their own truth, which is them being a victim sometimes. Like, of course, nobody wants to take the side of a victimizer.
Sure.
So this is why cancel culture is so prevalent nowadays, is because who wants to be a victimizer? So you have to take the side of the person who's being being victimized, and not the person who's making you a victim. So that's why it's like I disagree with cancel culture so much, not because I don't think these people deserve rights, whoever they are, whatever they do. It's just that I think it's been weaponized heavily. And for what? Like Chappelle.
Yeah.
I
was about to say, like, especially in terms of comedians, people want to just cancel them and shit on them and say, oh, you shouldn't say that. But the whole point of comedy is perpetuating stereotypes, because at the end of the day, we have to laugh at ourselves. We have to laugh at each other. Laughing is what, to me, what makes the world go around, It's not fair to say like, oh, because you said this as part of your joke or part of your bit, then you're a bigot, you're a racist, you're a blah, 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 blah. Like, no, he's just saying things that people generally think are funny, And just because you don't like it doesn't mean it's offensive. And you get those people who it's like, you'll sit through 90% of the show, and then there's a one bit that you don't like, and all of a sudden you're going to shit on it.
Or seemingly shedding light on seemingly taboo subjects.
Yes.
To simplify it a little bit more.
Yeah, and it's just like, why do we have to do that to people, man? Like, I don't understand how we had these opinions before. And I don't understand why we had to cancel Apu. Why did we have to cancel that character?
Bummer.
Because he was a stereotypical man from India.
That he wasn't portrayed. Dude, Apu was the hero. He was a hero. Yeah, he cheated on his wife though. But the point here is that he was a cool Indian guy. I didn't see him as like a bad Indian guy, but I think people like there's a select amount of people that probably got shit on with like a Indian accent and working in a convenience store. And, they just said like, I'm tired of this. Like, it's because of this guy. But really, like I've seen some Indians say like, dude, we were happy to have an Indian guy on the show, like wouldn't you feel the same way? If it was like a Filipino guy that was on there, I'm sure we would get like ripped on. But maybe I can't speak too much on it. I haven't been in those shoes. I haven't been a guy who was victimized because of Apu. So I can't say.
Nor are you overtly sensitive to if, say, you like there was a Filipino character in whatever animated series.
I'd like to laugh.
I'd find it
people
cool.
Have said
I'd
stuff
find
about,
it cool.
People have said stuff about me on our band stuff. I think one of the funniest comments that I read was,
"Here it comes."
This guy, the lead singer, sounds like he's receiving anal. Where I actually, when I first saw that comment because Keith showed me, I thought it was hilarious, and I was just like, "Wow! Like this guy seems to really know what that's all about." Like I didn't know, man. But cool, if that's the case, then sounds good. I think. But it was also funny. It was a hilarious joke. These internet trolls, though, man. There's a lot of them. The internet's a dark place. It's full of those people.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like, I used to be a troll. I said this also on our last podcast. I used to be a troll, but I think there's more to life than being a troll. I made it my resolution this year to just not be a hater.
Okay.
Because it's so easy to be a hater. And there's a lot of haters out there. There's people who will hate on you just for saying you don't want to be a hater. And they don't want to say anything good about you because that's easy. It's so easy to shit on anybody and anything and any topic you want to shit on, you can. And it's so easy. That's why even the simplest people can do it. There's only a select few people who can really praise good things and look at things in a good light. And so I'm trying to be that person.
Okay.
But I enjoy shit talking still.
Well, yeah.
Who doesn't? But
well, it's such a good release, for
that too.
stress. Even if you don't really mean it, it's just sitting around shooting the shit.
Yeah.
Just making jokes about stupid things like we're doing today.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we were talking stuff about Deporto.
Oh, right. Let's not open that can of worms on air just yet. In more ways than one.
In checks.
Oh man.
Well,
this is Rearended Nasty.
Bye. I used to have those. I still have Walkie Talkies. And it's funny because I still use Rearended Nasty as my call sign. we used to have Walkie Talkies, and we would talk about we would have code names, and we would try to get on every frequency trying to pretend to be some perverted truck driver whose name was Rearended Nasty. I don't even know how the name came about.
I was talking about, what was it? My cousin got rear-ended, and I don't remember how I started talking about it with you, but that's what it was. I said, "Oh yeah, she got rear-ended nasty," because her car was all fucked up.
Yeah.
So, and somehow that phrase kind of stuck with you, and then we just kind of ended up using it for random reasons.
Yeah, man. To this day,
this is rear-ended nasty.
You ever notice how when people use walkie-talkies or radios like that, they always start off with
the vocal fry.
Yeah, that's
what is it for?
What is that? That little dead space in your voice. I don't get that.
I guess just to make sure you're not starting too early. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, you ever notice if you're ever on an airplane, you'll catch it. Next time you're on an airplane, listen, you'll be like,
we're cruising at an altitude of
making it up to
we're in space.
And then it's just and he's dead.
We're still on the ground, folks. We're still on the ground, actually.
I wanted to ask you this because I know you went to the concert with James. You met up with Jackie and them, and probably Joko twice. Didn't you go see them?
Oh yeah, I saw James and Kevin.
Kevin. Okay, I thought you met up with everybody. I thought I saw you in that same picture.
No, it was just James and Kevin. He took a picture of us, but that was it. It was right before the concert. We were coming to our seats, and we told him where we were sitting, and freaking James hunted for us, and he found us, and he took a couple pictures with us. But yeah, the only people we saw was Kevin. And
okay.
James.
It was like some of my other friends went
Kevin,
there and they met up
James.
with James. They're huge fans. I know that's like they're huge fans of Kpop and stuff. And I know we're gonna have another podcast where we're gonna talk more in depth about
Well,
this.
James originally was into J-pop. K-pop
Yeah.
is a relatively new fancy for him, I would say.
For him, yes.
And for
K-pop's
me as
existed
well.
before.
Yeah,
You know, and
yeah.
I think there were I was told there's waves of K-pop. And I'll probably allude to this later, but let's just kind of like what I hear this is like the second or third wave. It's not the first one. I think the first one was like
Early 2000s,
the
perhaps.
Girls'
'cause-
Generation and Brown Eyed Girls or something like that. Like the first like Korean girl groups.
I want to say
And
like
stuff.
one of the big dogs, JYP. He's the one who owns the studio where Twice and a lot of other big idol groups come from. And he was an idol back in the 90s. So
Okay. So
I
he
want to
knows the
say
business.
that's when it started, but I'm no expert on the subject.
I think they look really flashy and cute and cool. I'm not. I'm not trying to shit on it. I just don't understand the appeal.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not saying
we
it's
are going to
bad.
learn more.
Yeah, no, and
in the
we're gonna
coming
have
week.
a couple of people here in next
Yeah.
week's cast where we're gonna
Okay.
talk about it. Which, if you want to come, you can.
All right, well,
Yeah.
You know,
We'll see.
like, if you want.
We'll have
'cause we're
Korean
gonna-
barbecue. No.
Oh yeah,
Because what
Yeah,
we what we plan to do is
I definitely want Korean. Can we have Korean barbecue?
Yeah,
No,
sure.
I think that's gonna a must, especially if
That's
we talk
exactly-
about
we'll have some,
Korean
we'll have some
things.
soju and makgeolli here.
Yo, soju.
We'll have the
That's
center of the
genius.
table is going to actually be the grill, right? Like, right there.
We'll grill on the air. That'd be so dope. Like,
What if I made that happen? No,
How are we gonna?
I'll make it
With
happen.
no vent, we'll die in here.
Cut a
no,
hole.
right? That's true. No ventilation.
Yeah.
Just be all
Well, we could just
smoky.
open the garage door, right?
Oh, I bolted
My.
it. Sorry.
There's no railing anymore.
I
Oh.
It's like it's stuck permanently, ish.
What do you think? What do you think the allure is, Derek?
Yeah. What are your appeals to K-pop?
Well, speaking from me,
Because I like all music. Like I like to see why people like it, and I like, pop sugary sounding pop music sometimes, and it's ear candy to me. I
yeah,
like it.
yeah,
Dude, some of
I
their
mean-
music's really catchy.
Yeah, catchy.
yeah.
You
I was
know,
gonna
That's
say
what
that.
popular pop music
That's really
could
cool.
be. Should
I'm
be.
someone who just kind of morally dabbles in it. I'm a fan for sure.
Yeah.
Like I do have a few light sticks
Like you
for
enjoy it, yeah.
a handful of maybe like 4 groups that I really like.
Yeah.
And
What 4 groups are they?
definitely BTS. I have one. Twice, ITZY, and Blackpink are the 4 groups that are. I
And they're
guess,
all
my favorite.
groups. These
Yes.
are not solo.
Yeah,
acts.
all groups. All
I'm
groups.
Gotcha.
supposed to watch BTS on the 16th of April
They're good. It's a good show.
in Vegas
Oh yeah,
because Jackie ended up getting tickets. to the
Awesome.
thing, so that'd be cool to go.
a few of my friends are going too. But since I already went to the last concert and
You went to the BTS when they the BTS concert when they were here in
yeah,
SoFi?
at SoFi exactly.
Nice.
Real
SoFi's a
nice.
nice stadium, huh?
Mhm. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Interesting.
It's a beautiful stadium, man. Like I could see Indescendants playing there. That'd be dope.
Oh, that'd be so
SoFi,
cool.
call us.
That'd be so cool.
It's like, what would you play? Covers?
Yeah, covers and Endeavor.
Endeavor, that's it. But yeah, dude, like SoFi's a beautiful stadium. Bro. Like, and yeah, how was that? How was the SoFi one?
Oh man, it was awesome. We had floor seats for that,
Jeez. Wow.
and yeah,
Okay.
which was pretty expensive. It was
Baller.
like maybe like $340 a ticket where we sat, which is actually less than I paid for Twice. So I'd rather not talk about that. But
Price check.
yeah, because freaking Ticketmaster got wise. Like, oh man,
Checking the cash.
these K-pop groups drawing a lot of money. So
Right.
So anyway, yeah, we had floor seats. My only complaint was I'm pretty short, so we weren't exactly near the stage. So every time they performed on the stage, I could barely see him. You know, so that's the only thing. They did go on a little what do you call that? Like a ramp that kind of on wheels that would went around.
Oh yeah.
You
That's
know,
cool.
Interesting.
so that they actually came right past us, so which was nice. A few of them, but yeah, great experience, great show. You know,
I hear a lot of good things. Like I know people have made friends at these concerts.
Ah.
That, you know, that which is cool. That's a great atmosphere. One that fosters like friendships and
It's
stuff.
an
like
actual
that.
community.
It's a community. And
Right.
it's like people have made friends out of concerts.
Comparable to like going to expos and stuff, right? Where you
Yeah.
That could happen too. Yeah.
Does Kpop have an expo? I'm pretty sure it does.
possibly, if there is, I don't
Can't
know.
see why not.
There
you know?
should be one.
Yeah, well, that's cool because I like to know these things, and I just when I don't understand something, I would like to know where people are coming from. Like, how did you know it? How did you come across Korean stuff?
So it all began with BTS. Like some of the girls in our group were getting into them, and the first thing that you think about, they're just a bunch of beautiful people, and there's no
easy
real
on the eyes.
easy on the eye. There's no real discernible talent.
Sure.
Like if they weren't handsome, they wouldn't be shit. You know, that's your first impression. At least that was mine. You know, but the
Okay.
more you kind of watch them, like each of them has their own qualities and talents, and they all bring something to the group. And then every idol group has their own quality as well. You know, like BTS has their own kind of feel.
Is it an aesthetic?
Yeah, aesthetic, a style.
Well, I'm sure it's more multifaceted than that. But yeah, go on. Sorry.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for me, that's why like I used to think of it as a one-trick pony. Like, oh, it's just an idol. You sing, dance, and look pretty. That's it. That's what they all do. But no, like every group and even every person has a different talents and different qualities, and you come to appreciate that. And the thing about K-pop too is that they're so exposed. So they do a lot of variety shows. They do a lot of reality stuff where cameras follow them around. So fans get to see them like on a daily basis on YouTube and on shows and stuff. So
Interesting.
like it's not like it's not like here. You don't get that, you know. So you really feel immersed with these people and learn about their personalities.
So it's like almost like it's almost like vlog level of intimacy. Like,
yes, in a way, because it's at every level, either game shows or we're gonna take
like variety shows. Variety shows for some, I don't know what the reason is, but it's very big outside of the U.S.
yeah, like
So
in
we're
Asia
talking-
mostly, right?
Yeah, like I've seen a lot of
Philippines,
funny
for
Japanese
sure.
shows.
Japanese.
Philippines because my mom they like those shows, variety
Yeah.
shows. So
So
it's interesting to see, you know. But to me, it's just like, oh, okay. But I don't see the point of this show, but I guess it's funny.
but for these groups, it's that exposure that I think keeps feeding people. You know, like you want to watch them more. You want to learn more about them than not just this person who comes out on stage and sings and dances. Like now you start learning about them, and like they do game shows. They're always on social media. Always, like they have. There's this app called V Live. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. It's basically where it's an app. Every group has an app or has an account on the app rather. And they can go on V Live at any point, like, oh my God, so and so's on V Live, and everybody jumps on, and they're there. They could be doing whatever. They could just be sitting there talking to their fans live, cooking something, eating something, doing an opening.
It's always gonna be about food.
Yeah, exactly. So that's it. Like they have so much like social media exposure, which is brings in the appeal.
Interesting.
Yes, me.
So you're saying that the reason why it's more appealing is because of that exposure.
That's part of it for sure.
Part of it,
but there really is something for
in-depth life stuff. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of idols out there who are not real. I mean, you think you're getting the real person, but there's a lot of fakes out there who I would think.
Would you assume that these management groups and talent groups that quote unquote groom them, and I don't mean that in a bad way, do you feel like maybe they have if there's a lack of a backstory, do you think that they will fictitiously
write one
or make one for some of these artists or talents or members of these groups?
That I'm not sure. I don't think they would go that far, but
because I know at least keyword idol, right? Because in American Idol, don't cancel me on this one because it's like insider stuff. But in my musician friend group of those that have participated in American Idol, The Voice, when there's a lack of a story for them, they will try to fluff up your backstory.
Okay.
Because it sells.
Yeah.
That sells. In the event that you make it to Hollywood, quote unquote, if you don't have a story, if it's just like, I went to school and I sing and I'm good. Like, okay, where's the struggle and strife? Where's a little bit of that drama? And I know drama and struggle will sell. So sometimes maybe I would assume maybe they'll fictitiously come up with like, oh, this artist came out of poverty, or whatever.
I mean, it's possible, especially when, I guess, in the recruitment phrase, like there are definitely shows which I don't watch because there's definitely a lot of facets.
Some backstory stuff.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of facets of K-pop that I'm not into because I'm just like kind of like on the surface fan.
Yeah.
And
I like the way it sounds.
Like with Twice, they were on this show that built the group essentially, where it was like a reality show where they had all these girls on it and they all had to perform and do this and that. And then JYP would choose, the members he wanted in his group,
right.
blah, 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 blah. So maybe in that sense, they probably would have had backstories and stuff like that.
I see.
Okay, that's cool.
Interesting, right? Yeah.
Who? So you said BTS, Twice,
ITZY, which is very new. They've been around for like 3 years, and Blackpink.
Blackpink. I know Lloyd really likes Blackpink.
They were probably the most popular K-pop group in America for a while. They probably got overtook by BTS.
Oh yeah. I know BTS is huge.
Yes.
Like it's really huge, and it's interesting to see that I remember growing up when the girls of our age and time were into like NSYNC. And they get like posters of Justin Timberlake.
Middle school
Those
days.
were the days.
Yeah, and Backstreet Boys was another one. Some people like them. Some people even like Simple Plan. I'm like the only kid who liked Blink 182.
I wouldn't say the only one, but
the point here is like I wasn't into a boy band. Like not like a dancing boy band at least.
Yeah.
That wasn't really, you weren't really the target audience.
No, obviously, clearly. And if I was, that'd be different. But I will say, the thing about that was like, I remember seeing these girls go crazy for those guys before. And when we were kids, we would shit on them. Like, man, what the hell? Like, these guys.
Do you remember in middle school, they would have like factions. Like the girls would split up.
Oh, yeah.
The girls were like Backstreet Boys and the girls were like NSYNC. Like, they would hate each other. I was like, what the hell?
They would have, Backstreet Boys versus NSYNC. And then they would have like binders.
Oh, yeah.
You remember when we would have like those binders where you would insert like pictures of whatever? So I remember you would know whose binder it was depending on which Backstreet Boy was on there, which NSYNC member. NSYNC was a little harder because everybody liked Timberlake.
Oh, yeah.
Even I like Timberlake now.
Yeah.
But,
talented guy, for sure.
Very talented guy. But like the point here is like with BTS, I kind of saw that happening all over again. And I was just like,
I could see that.
I was just like, dang, they're a powerful group to be able to whip out this power, whip out the inner girl in a lot of these girls.
Well, plus they're worldwide, like renowned and popular. Like
you're absolutely right. And for a smaller country to reach the Western market of the United States, it's a big deal. And I know they were, James made this comparison. He was saying that BTS is like the Beatles. If you think about a non-American music icon or icons in their case, where it's like it's a big deal for them to play in the States, and they even played for the United Nations in that thing, right?
That's right.
They're like, not even the Beatles did that and stuff like that.
Nuts.
Not to mention the Beatles, the Soviet Union was big in Beatle times.
Yeah.
So it's different. It was different then.
And they shall rise again.
Hopefully not.
Makes me want to play Red Alert Command
For Mother Russia. Vozdrovia, motherfuckers. Just kidding.
Dude, the Russians, man. Dude, I don't know, man. They're stuck in an era that just doesn't exist anymore. And like that communism is just not cool. Or at least in this case, a dictatorship,
Right.
With trying to... and there was like a lot of wishy-washy details with this, and I think Russia's interpreting it one way. And I think, again, they should sit down and talk. Russia and NATO should all sit down and talk and be like, look, this is what's happening. This is how I feel. Because I also think Russia, what happened was after World War II, and somebody can challenge me on this, but this is how I understand it. After World War II, there was a division, right?
Okay.
Between Germany and Eastern and Western Europe. Obviously, Western Europe was with the Allies, well, the Western Allies like the United States and Britain. They decided to divvy up Western Germany and everything west of there for the West and NATO. That's how NATO was formed. East Germany, that's why there was the Berlin Wall. East Germany was all Russia, right? And apparently during Soviet times, NATO had agreed not to expand further east. Then the Soviet Union fell. And I think then the words and the agreement fell through. And it's just like, well, we promised that to the Soviet Union and they don't exist anymore. So then in a few years, more nations started to join, since I think that's where 7-Nation Army came from. You know, like it was like Poland, like all of Germany became NATO. And then they started getting even into like Russian borders with Lithuania and all this stuff. So naturally, Russia feels betrayed. Russia's just like asking this question, like, dude, what the fuck? You're stealing my friends. You know, like I'm going to take the big friend, Ukraine. But even Ukraine, like they wanted to be like sovereign in their own country. But they didn't want, like Russia was just like, dude, if they go to NATO or the West, that's it. Like now NATO's going to be on our borders. And if you, the most basic way to explain NATO is it's an anti-Russia organization. It's an organization that will act up in the event that Russia decides to mess with anyone, which is why I think it's Article 5 of NATO's clause or whatever agreement. If an attack is made on one NATO country, it will be seen as an attack on all countries.
Oh shit!
And therefore, every nation
that's quite
in
a
NATO,
power then.
yeah, dude, it's a strong North Atlantic Treaty Organization. So that's the reason why Russia feels kind of like paranoid right now. They think that what's happening is that NATO's stealing all his friends, and he's just like, "Bro, come on, man, let me have this one. I'm gonna take it. F you guys." Jeez. Of course, that's a very gross simplification, but really, that's what's happening right now. Is that Russia just feels like it's getting cornered and that Ukraine is tending to lean west. And you know what? In his crazy effort to try to take Ukraine, they still ended up going west. They still ended up joining the European Union, although emergently, and I don't think it's official yet because it takes years. Right. Process to join NATO is years. Process to join European Union is years. So I don't think an emergency case can be made. But for sure, like he's pushing majority of Ukraine westward just by... And this just goes to show, like, even on a micro scale, acting crazy and getting all try hard and acting in scarcity like Putin, it just gets you nowhere, you know? Like, being this person, don't you think you would attract more with honey than vinegar?
Oh, yes.
Right? We've heard this expression before. So it's like you're really just pouring gasoline onto a fire there, you know, making it worse. So I think Russia could... They could have just like from the ground up not been super corrupt and been a great society, and then it would have made Ukraine, because they do have shared history, want to be more with them. But because they're acting so try hard and you know they want to be like old Soviet times, it's like, dude, that's like in the past now. Forget you guys, man. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know too much about what's going on there, you know, but that's as far as my research entails. You know, I can't say too much on that, but a lot of people are dying. A lot of innocent people are getting hurt. And that's just not right. And that's not cool. So I do not condone Mr. Putin's actions. That's not cool. Like war's not great. And again, the United States isn't great either. You know, but we're allowed to protest that here. Yeah. We're allowed to say what we want and feel about that. But also, like, you think about... like Russia, like all those people are going to jail for speaking out on the war, and it's supposed to show what kind of country they still are. Haven't changed much. Yeah,
there are videos of them like going through people's phones, like the military, and like trying to see if they're saying anything negative about
like
Russia.
Anti-propaganda, etc.
Yeah, exactly.
That's tough.
Well, you know, that's communism's not good.
Man, Tim, now I got to get rid of my Russian pickups on my Fender Stratocaster.
Well,
I bought from Moscow.
Burn it.
Just kidding.
Your damn Soviet pickups.
Hey, man.
Pickups?
They sound really good. I forgot the guy that I bought them from. Anyways.
Do I even own anything that's Russian?
I used to have these Russian mics that sounded good, and then someone stole them from me.
A long time ago. It was Putin.
Dude, seriously.
Putin took them back.
Really good.
Soviet sympathizers.
I don't know what happened.
Soviet sympathizers.
They tracked it down.
You know,
Relics of the
let's be-
Soviet Union. I'm
Let's
just
be
kidding.
honest, though. Russians made for dope villains on film.
Oh, well.
Like, there's so many like great films out there, and where the bad guys were the Russians.
It's always Russian or German.
But definitely Russian. Well, at least more because Russia, like the Cold War was way longer
Wait,
than World War
in
II.
GoldenEye for N64 or
Russian. Xenia, the chick who Famke Janssen, she was Russian.
Oh, my God. Well, why do you think that is? Because of,
definitely
America's
Cold War.
Yeah, Cold
you know?
War. America's view. Let's instill in the minds of our children the negative view of Russia
Russia.
and Germans,
Yeah, and then the movie Miracle, which is actually based on real life events that happen, which is fun. So Miracle, for those of you who don't know, Miracle is a story about the United States hockey team versus the Soviet Union's hockey team in the Winter Olympics. It was like for the gold medal. And if I get this correctly, the United States made it a rule, or it was a rule to where you can't have professional athletes compete on the team. But I think with Soviet Russia, what they did was they bend the rules, and so that all the guys playing on that team were professional hockey players from their country.
Okay.
And they still lost. So that's why it was called Miracle.
Baby.
Yeah, dude. Apparently it was a really, really big... Obviously, this was like at the peak of the Cold War in the 80s. So it was a big deal. It was not even a war, but it was like, a miracle on ice, as they called it. So that was another one. Rocky IV, Ivan Drago.
Yes.
He was a Russian. I don't think he's even... Dolph Lundgren is, I think, Swedish. Or something. Like it's like
Hey,
some
if you're
of the Baltic
fair skinned,
states.
Hey,
Scandinavian.
them too.
Yeah.
Fuck them.
My!
No, I'm just kidding.
When I say my, by the way, that is a Derickism.
Yeah. Oh. My.
So yeah, exactly. My, and when I say my, it's an expression. I got some people also to say my, but like my is a short form of my God. Right?
Well, it was a bit of an...
How did that start?
Well, first,
it backtrack. This is awesome, man.
I can remember this as far back as sophomore year of high school. And it started with, oh my God. So that's what we used to say. Oh my God. That's be the first thing we used to say, right? And then we would say...
Pretty standard. Okay.
Yeah. Then we would say, my God. They turned into that, right? And then it went from, oh my, and then it went to the opposite, right? Oh, either it was, oh my, then my God, then it turned into just my. So, so my is basically our shortened version of saying our reaction with, to say, oh my God.
Yeah.
Saying,
To exclaim something. I love it. It's so
My.
Tim and Derek. It's so
My
awesome, guys.
is like the one expression that has stuck with us for the longest. That I got other people to say.
more than a decade now.
Yeah, more than a
amazing.
decade, almost 2. Like 4 years, it'll be
Almost
2
2.
decades.
Oh, shit.
No, maybe even less. Like a few years. It'll be 2 decades since we've been saying my. But I love saying the expression my because not only is it unique, it's just like I don't know how to explain how we use that. It's just like it's just an exclamation.
It's-
like
Yeah,
Yeah.
exclamatory. Is that
Yeah.
a
Like when you get something shocked or funny or like, it's usually when we say something ridiculous.
Yeah.
So it's
yeah,
like, oh my.
like outlandish. Just
Yeah.
like
Like, dude, oh my God. Like,
Or
what?
in response to something that someone has said to you too.
Yes.
I love it,
But
man.
it's such an insight thing that we don't say it to anyone else, until you start getting initiated into
you
it.
start hanging
Yeah,
out.
Yeah,
once you
yeah,
start
yeah.
hanging out with
Yeah.
us, you
Yeah.
start to
Yeah.
get the
Yeah.
meaning.
until you start hanging out with us, that's when you'll notice that we say these things.
Yeah.
But yeah, like my is like an
My.
expression that has stuck with us forever. And I think also like on a light version of that was the knee slap.
Oh yes,
Light version.
Yeah. Who started that? Was that you or Eric?
I think you did. It started with, if I remember correctly. Remember the next Rex Navarrete thing with the
oh,
this is in the aquariums. This is Island Pacific, and then the fish getting its head cut off. So it started with that, with the hand coming down, chopping the
How
fish
come I don't
head.
know that bit? That's so funny.
Or he would say Ranch 99 was another version. But so it went. I think it went from that, the chop, to
knee slap.
the knee slap. Exactly.
Oh my god.
That's so funny.
Yeah, think that's where it
Maybe.
Maybe.
But it's also, you know, which is knee slapper is a general American
Is it
saying,
really?
right? Yeah, you're like, oh, that's a knee slapper.
They do it palm down. For you guys, you're doing it.
Yeah.
You're doing it
Oh, the
backhand.
Yes, we
backhand the knee. I tend to backhand my knee pretty hard. Like, especially depending on how like funny or like serious or rather outlandish the statement that was made. It was just kind of like, you know, like
the volume of it.
Yeah. Hey man,
You gotta get that.
it's been about a decade and a half. I got pretty good at it.
It's almost on the same level as in the way you just kind of react to things.
I love it, you guys.
I know.
To be part of Tim's friend group is has been nothing but fun and a learning experience. So, Derick, welcome again.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's awesome, man.
Yeah, but like the expression "my" is the one thing that I absolutely love that I use on a day-to-day basis without even thinking about it now.
Wow,
You know, and that's the fun part where it's just like, you know, to me, it's a sign of older times, I guess you could say. And it's the one thing I imagine I'd be like in a nursing home bed just screaming, "My." You know, it's funny. So like John Reyna has friends, their name are Bobby and Ashley, right? They got married last year in November, I think. I forget. But
congrats to them.
yeah, congrats to them. Shout out to you, Bobby and Ashley, if you're watching. But it's funny because even they adopted the "my." So we went to go eat at this thing called this place called Honey Me, but we ended up calling it Honey My.
Is that the ice cream place with the honey?
Yeah. It has like a honeycomb in it, and it's
pretty good.
It's really good actually. You should get some now.
Oh,
No, but like yeah. So they ended up incorporating it in their vernacular as well, which I think is funny. You know, it's just like, damn, that expression has reach. You know, I wonder how far that goes. You know.
well, for me, I honestly only ever use it within our circles, though.
Really?
Yeah.
I use it every day. You know, it's just like,
I guess
Tim
because
has brought it worldwide, you guys. He's brought it worldwide.
my worldwide campaign starts here.
myworldwide.com. We'll make my. See, it's just funny. Like,
I just feel like most people won't get it. They're like, "Why do you say?"
Oh,
that?
I got
'Cause
it right away, which is like
okay.
the fun. It's a treat for me. Like, dude, come on, it's Tim. Like you know,
really, it's this guy.
I remember people would.
it's Derick.
It is Derick.
And what was it, like MySpace or Facebook? People would, because we would write that in our comments if we would have conversations on.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, there, and I'm like, "My," there'd be like a giant "mi" with a bunch of exclamation marks,
Or
and people are like,
MY.
MY.
Multiple Ys.
"Oh, why not I?"
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
And people be like, sometimes they'll be like, "What does that mean? Like, why did you write that?"
Like, don't you know?
It's kind of our expression.
Yeah, I know. And then they're like, "You're what?"
Yeah, exactly.
No. It's just an expression. Like I would say "my," and then they would go "your."
You're
Kyle, that's you. You know who you are. He's the one who asked me that. But yeah, that guy's hilarious. But anyway, it was just like, yeah, a lot of Derickisms I've kept because of this guy. And I even say it at work. I'll be like, "my," but I won't say it as loud as like with us. It's just like we know,
like to yourself, kind
yeah,
of.
it's just kind of like
It's a light version. Light. My light.
my light,
My life.
my light, lower calories. If it doesn't get all over the place.
Doesn't belong.
Doesn't belong in your face. Telling you, man, those commercials really made me want a freaking Carl's Jr. burger.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I was tired of Carl's Jr. in high school.
Oh,
That's
same.
all we
See,
had.
There's one next to where you guys went. There was one next to where I
Yes.
went, and I wish they would bring back the pastrami burger, but I guess it's I don't know.
Was that
for
really good?
whatever reason.
I never
Yeah.
tried it, but
I can vouch for it.
honestly, like I
Just make our own.
Just make our own. I have not had Carl's Jr. since high school because I've learned to despise it.
Dude, because you should. Yeah.
What
You should
happened,
tell them
man?
the White Castle story.
Oh man! Well, that before we get to that, because Carl's Jr. like Jason was saying, it was down the street from our school, and you know if you were on a budget, that's where you go to eat. right?
Because get 2 spicy chicken.
yeah, for
2 spicy
$1,
chickens for
like,
99 cents.
There you
And a
go.
Or 2
water.
famous stars for 99 cents.
That's why it was so easy. Even though
Well, then now inflation. So what is it now?
Oh,
Whatever the
shit.
price
2
is.
Westerns for like $8.
The-
Dude, the $6 burger is a dying concept because of inflation. You can't call it a $6. You can call it a $6 burger when it's like a tiny, like small burger. Like
it's a slider
inflation.
now. Like, yeah, what is this?
The $6 slide.
$6 slider. There you go.
Oh no!
Oh no! What the economy?
Oh man!
But yeah, I consider it a desperation food. Like, as if to say I was a poor man back in the day and that's all I could afford. And now I'm like, yeah, I can do better. In and out.
But In-N-Out's is so good. In-N-Out has maintained that same quality and feel for years, decades.
Yeah.
And I think my dad would say this, and I still don't know if this is true or not. But around the same time, Carl's Jr. started with In-N-Out, and you kind of look maybe not exactly the same year, but around the same time. And you look at where both of them are now. Like Carl's Jr.'s, Carl's Jr.'s kind of run down a bit.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's tough.
I like Carl's Jr., but like I just like I like their breakfast burger. That's really it. Their regular
Yes, I love
burgers
their
or
breakfast
whatever,
burgers.
Okay.
Yeah.
But like, if you're gonna give me the choice between that and In-N-Out, I'm picking In-N-Out.
Oh, yeah. Every
You're
time.
picking like a standard double over like a double. So what is it? Superstar.
Superstar. I think
Yeah.
Superstar is like their double.
They're double.
Oh,
But here's
Which
the
I don't get at all.
Here's the thing about comparing burgers, because I know people love to have this discussion about In-N-Out and Shake Shack, right?
And Five Guys.
And Five
And
Guys.
Whataburger.
Like they like to throw a lot of names in the ring, but I think those two are the most popular nationwide to pit Shake Shack, and I think
Mm-hmm.
Whataburger too.
Yeah, sucks. Sucks.
But when they pit, what I think is weird is when they compare Shake Shack and In-N-Out, because I don't think that's a fair comparison. And here's why. In-N-Out, as the name entails, is a drive-through usually. And anytime an institution like In-N-Out is a drive-through, immediately I don't hold it to such a high standard because it's a fast food burger. It's a burger you're meant to go in, get it and out, right? In and out.
No
That's the
fuss.
form. No fuss. It's just like, just make the burger and go.
Yeah.
So anytime an establishment has a drive-through, to me, immediately that the bar is lowered. But
Right.
because this bar is lowered, I think In-N-Out is operating above that bar.
Oh,
Yes,
absolutely.
there are places that you can go to an In-N-Out and just sit down and eat. There are some In-N-Outs, which is weird that they call it In-N-Out, where there's no drive-through. I've seen it.
Oh,
I
wait.
actually saw it on
Really?
Sunday. Yeah. So
Is that the one we always go to when we go up to Big Bear? Remember, there's one we
that
passed.
has a drive-through.
It does.
Yeah.
The one with by the dirt
Well,
road and everything.
So what
drive-through.
location is
Okay.
this, Tim? Because like I'm super.
But more on that later.
Oh,
the
man.
The point here is
Dude.
like with Shake Shack, that is not a drive-through place. Shake Shack is not.
They
a
don't
place-
have any drive-through locations.
If there are some, I would like to be proven wrong. But I see Shake Shacks, and they are like restaurants, like a Red
Yeah.
Robin or like an
It-
Island.
sit down.
Exactly.
So that's already a different
tier. Yeah, yeah.
when
Okay,
you're
say
meant
that.
to hammer burgers out fast, it already keeps the quality at a low level because you are meant more for fast food and go. But because of that low bar, like I said, In-N-Out operates a little higher than that, and they can still hammer it out fast. When you sit at a sit-down establishment, they have more time to put quality into your food, like a restaurant would in general. So when you go to a Red Robin, you would expect a better quality burger.
I actually
Or
don't like their
I know.
burgers, to be honest. But
I'm not a big fan of them either.
Never liked them.
I only eat there because it's like the last resort, or because like they were
man.
giving out a free burger. But again, back to the bottom line here, it's not a
Right.
fair comparison. I don't think you can compare In-N-Out's burger to Shake Shack's burger because Shake Shack has more time to make their burger. Have you had Shake Shack's burgers?
oh yes,
They're
yeah.
good.
They're delicious.
Great. They're delicious.
Yeah.
I do agree with that statement, but at the same time, I don't think it's a fair comparison.
Yeah,
Period.
like you
You
said,
know?
they're different tiers. In-N-Out sits in that gray area in between your average fast food burger place to your sit down burger place. It fits that niche that no one else really, sits in.
Yeah, they're in a
agree
place
with
of them on their own. But you can compare them to, say, the likes of Carl's Jr. Or McDonald's.
Comparable.
Because their drive-through fast food burger, joints, Jack in the Box, where they're meant to push all these things out like fast.
Right.
So that's a fair comparison. It's like saying, it's like a tried and true example, apples to oranges. Yes, they're both fruits. You would compare an apple more like a red Washington apple to a Fuji apple or a golden apple, right? Fairer comparison than to an orange.
Yes.
And an orange you'd compare to something like a navel orange or a tangerine.
A blood orange.
A blood orange. Like
maybe even a grapefruit if you want to stretch it.
Yeah.
But that's, that's also there.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's fair that you compare an In-N-Out to Shake Shack. I don't think it works that way. So, and a lot of people say Shake Shack is better. And then I'm like, well, that's more likely because they have more time to make their burgers.
That's true. They make their patties fresh, handmade, as far as I know.
Well, so In-N-Out's is frozen.
Frozen, but it's still handmade.
For a frozen burger.
And that's
still
the thing.
really
That's the fresh.
good.
That's the freshest burger you can get for a fast food place. When it
And
comes
for that kind of money.
Mm-hmm.
Like especially, dude. And In-N-Out treats their employees really well.
True.
Like I know people who used to work at In-N-Out. And they would say like, yeah, they treated us fairly well. They paid us good, and they gave us like, I think after you work after a certain time, you get like stock or something like that.
We have a classmate who is currently a manager, former classmate.
Yeah, exactly. And he's working at In-N-Out. And, I guess he wouldn't be there this long if it wasn't good.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I even remember back in the day when we first started graduating high school, In-N-Out was always a prospect behind everybody's mind. Like, oh, they pay really well. It's a lot of work, but it's more than you'd get at your average job nowadays.
Right.
Plus the benefits and whatnot. So it always seemed like a lucrative opportunity as a job for an 18-year-old,
Yeah, and the cool part about In-N-Out is I think because they treat their employees well, as a result, treating your employees well also means that the quality will be good too. Because
they'll work harder for you.
Yeah, they'll work harder for you. And that's why I like In-N-Out in general. It's also the organization, that I like. I don't know. I just really like it. I like In-N-Out.
And they still use the original jingle too.
In-N-Out.
That's what all hamburgers all about. Such a good jingle. Still relevant too.
I was going to say that too, talking about old commercials back in the day. It's the memorable sayings and the memorable jingles. Those are the things they still use them, but not to the extent that they used to back in the day, like when we were kids.
In the heartland,
Right.
Stater Brothers.
Right.
Rock.
Yes, I was just about to say it.
Oh man, that is so true.
That's a good one. That's a good one. So good.
Yo, I feel like I'm gonna put that here in this
my
podcast
God.
while I edit it. Maybe like right here. but yeah, dude, that commercial was so classic, dude. That made me want to get a Chevy.
Yeah, it made me want to get a truck.
Made me want to get a Silverado.
Like
a rock.
The shit was climbing up like literally on rocks. It looked like that mountain by Topanga Canyon. That's what it looked like.
Oh yeah, like those red rocks over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, like when the plant was still
Like
here,
how
maybe
often
they
are you
just-
going to be doing that? Well,
Yeah.
Anyway,
I don't know how long
it was
the plant
still
was here, but anyway, like the point here was like it looks so dope.
It was
and
impressive.
It made me want to get like a Silverado.
Oh, yeah.
Even though I wasn't really into like trucks, it just made me really want one.
Yeah.
Such good commercials back in the day.
All right.
But even Jack in the Box's commercials were funny. Like they made like a boy band for the Ultimate Cheeseburger. Do you remember that? That was
I don't
good
remember
too.
that.
Oh my god, Ultimate Cheeseburger.
Yeah.
You know, then you get all the jingles like 1877 cars for kids.
Right. Well, that's
cars for kids.
I still have that actually.
Yeah, dude. I,
With the JG Wentworth
When I
one,
used to
guess.
listen
JG Wentworth.
early 2000s,
877
early 2000s, 2010s.
oh man, like some jingles were just so
Oh, man.
memorable.
Iconic.
Cerritos,
Auto Square.
Do you guys
Yes,
remember the
Cerritos.
Kicks one? The Hey Mikey, he likes it.
Hey, that's an old one.
That old one.
That's slightly before our time.
I have a subordinate that schooled me as I thought it was an 80s, 90s one. He's like, dude, it's been around since the 70s. It's an older fella. I was like, okay.
Sure.
It's old. It's old.
Okay.
Fruitylicious.
Hey, give me a break. Give me a break. Break me off a piece of that.
They don't do that.
They don't.
They don't do that jingle no more, huh?
I think they just put music to the Kit Kat breaking.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Like they do like a rendition of it, but you know,
It's not the same.
no.
No, really? I didn't
Is
know
Frosted
that.
Flakes still around? With the jingle?
Are there any more animated like logos anymore? Everything's like a word or a thing. There's no more. There's no more mascots because PETA or people cancel them or whatever.
Why is the Lucky
No
Charms
way.
guy too racist or what?
Yeah, against
Lucky
against
Charms.
leprechauns.
They're magically delicious.
Dude, is that guy gone now? The Lucky Charms guy?
He might still be on it, but he doesn't look the same.
How about the Cocoa Puffs guy? Do you think that they
Cuckoo for
canceled him
Cocoa
because it was akin to a drug addiction?
Oh, yeah.
It's just Cocoa Puffs.
You know, I was talking about this with a
That's
guy.
what they want you to think.
Yeah, right. I was speaking of older things. I was talking about this with I guess you can say friend now. He works in the video game industry, but he does like a YouTube series where he wants to collect every single N64 game.
Oh,
So naturally, we just started talking about old N64 games.
still have mine, by the way. Love
Wow.
that thing.
Dang, wish I had mine.
I wish I still had my N64. I was stupid and, I wanted money. So I just sold it, but that was dumb. But anyway, main point, this guy, he works in the video game industry, and naturally I asked him, like, dude, what do you think about the video game industry now, and where it's like they don't even give you a complete game anymore? They give you a game and they cut you short a little bit and expect you to buy DLC, downloadable content,
characters.
So characters, missions, skins. It's like, dude, I absolutely despise that. Like, I miss the times when you would have a complete game.
You buy the game and you hold it in your
That's
hand. You know, you put it in your shelf, admire it with the rest of your collection.
Yeah, right. It's different now, where it's just like, dude, nowadays, like, you can even download an entire game. You don't even have to have a game, like a physical copy of a game anymore. I'd like to. I personally still like that tangible
Same
game. Plus, we were talking about how we like to read instruction manuals in the toilet. When we were kids, because their phones didn't exist yet. So naturally, the one thing we'd be reading is like strategy guides, dude. Like for Zelda,
I had like a really nice one. I forget the maker of it, but for Ocarina of Time, I had it was like double. It was like bound. It was it was like holographic on both. I forget the. I used to order Nintendo Power. I was like, Mom, can I please get Nintendo Power? So I could, get the inside, come on, man.
So classic.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Those were simpler times.
What was the N64 upgrade? The
expansion pack.
Expansion pack. There you go.
Yeah.
It's like
See, that was our DLC back in the day.
Yeah. Well, I think that was just to increase the N64's RAM.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So that it had more memory on board to handle bigger
larger games. Yeah.
Like
Handle
I think
Majora's
Donkey Kong
Mask.
64 was one of the first games to utilize the expansion pack.
Ah.
I've heard good things about it. I've never played it fully. Donkey Kong 64.
Same.
It was very much like Banjo-Kazooie.
Okay.
Like the same style. I think it was the same engine. And that's the reason why Rare worked on that game.
Oh, that's right.
And Donkey Kong 64, I hear, was a good game, but I never got to play it. I wish I got to play more N64 games when I had one and N64, but two more time. I don't find myself with the time anymore to sit down and play an entire video game anymore.
Yeah.
Somebody was shitting on me for saying they had their opinions on video games, and they said they wouldn't let their child play video games. And I was just like, well, why? And they said that's because you don't get anything accomplished with video games, and you just sit there and you play it and you don't do anything. I think that was their argument. I'm paraphrasing, but really, the point here is they were saying that video games, you don't get anything done. I get it. That can be true, and it can come to a point where that's the case.
Yes,
right?
if you're not doing anything else, obviously.
If you're not doing anything else, of course, that can take your time. It can get very destructive. And video games then get painted in a bad light. But it's like this same person likes to watch Korean dramas. And I'm like, okay, how is that not something you look as not getting anything accomplished?
Yeah.
Oh, well,
Got him.
you know, like I think I roughly asked this, but there was no answer to it.
Of course.
So I can't speak for them, but like, I would like to think that their argument would have been like, well, you know, Korean culture and this and that and blah, blah, blah. It's like, dude, do you know that video games have taught us a lot of things?
Yeah.
You know, hand-eye coordination, given.
True.
You don't get that with
Problem-solving.
one. Problem solving with like Zelda.
Sure.
And even like GTA games, like how to pick up a hooker. No, I'm just kidding.
Evading law. Evading law.
Evading law and
I'm
running
just
from the
kidding.
cops.
I mean,
Just kidding.
I mean, generally speaking, yes,
kidding.
but you know,
No. Okay, well, like jokes aside, like video games, I think have their own culture, and some games have taught you like stuff about like modern warfare talks about like war between two countries and stuff like that. Red Alert, you know, it's like the Russian, another one where
Yeah,
the Russians against the United States. You know, I didn't play that game extensively, but I just know the premise is that it's
I
a
know
bad
it.
Russian
big
guy.
red one.
Which one?
What was the one that we used to always play at Eric's house?
Which one?
Red Faction.
Red Faction.
See, I was there with this guy and
my
Jim
God.
Boy. I was like, guys, this game's cool.
Red Faction was such a dope game.
We stand alone against an insidious enemy.
Oh my
Remember
god! That monologue
Yeah,
in the beginning, from
at the loading
Commonwealth
screen.
guy. Yeah, dude, Red Alert 2 was such a, or Red Faction 2 was such a fun game.
Oh man, we loved it.
The NICW, like the rail gun. It was fun. Like, dude, like I think video games were so instrumental in our youth because they were times that we would get together and hang out, right? Because we didn't have phones and we didn't have Skype and we didn't have Zoom and Discord like we do now.
Exactly.
Like we have these video games that forced us to get together. I mean, ideally we'd also be playing like basketball. We did that too growing up. We'd be roller skating or skateboarding more for me. And doing all those outside things too. But on a rainy day or on sleepovers when you can't really be outside and do that stuff anymore because it's cold or you're sweaty or whatever, it's like, now it's time to play video games. So it's like
inside.
It was fun, man. Like I think one of my most treasured memories, and maybe my cousins can comment on this. We were playing at my cousin's house. We were playing Halo. Halo 2 all night, man.
I was just about
literally on Christmas Eve, I think. We were at his house from freaking, when was that? Like 9 in the evening till like 2 or 3 in the morning. We were playing Halo 2 straight. And dude, and one of my other treasured memories of video games is when we would play Mario Tennis on N64.
Okay,
so I had like family that were family friends that would come in from Seattle and they would visit us and we played Mario Tennis literally between both sides of the sun coming up. We saw the sun go down. We had dinner with our family. Dude, we played Mario Tennis all night long. It was just that fun and that competitive. And my dad had to tell us to stop playing at like 5 in the morning. He's like, you guys are still up? Go to bed. See, like
Those were the days,
those
man.
were the days, and it's just like it was cool to be a kid and not have responsibilities, and
Right.
not have to worry about anything, and not feel like you're not getting anything done. But from the outside looking in, especially when you didn't grow up with video games, and especially when you don't talk to people who can expose you to these kinds of things, you're never going to know, and therefore you will always paint it in a bad light.
Yeah.
Let me cite another thing. I had a former coworker. She's a really, really sweet lady who's only like a year older than me, but she has 3 kids. Very, very sweet girl. So she says that, I will never let my children play video games because these games like the Grand Theft Auto, they're so bad and blah, blah, blah. So I was just like, I further asked the question, so what is it about these games specifically that you don't like? And what do you think makes you feel that way? It's like, because the news this, the news that, and the news blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
That's just the media, again, doing their media thing, right? I tried not to get on that, but I did try to strike common ground where it's like, I think if you look at it that way, definitely, it's a bad thing. And if you don't supervise what your children are playing and you know, don't instill good values in them,
if it's
of
not
course
age
they're going to look
appropriate.
at it and if they're not age appropriate. But then I also told her, it's like, you know what? I played all those games growing up.
Yep.
Do you look at me as a murderer? Do you look at me as somebody who would kill someone?
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe she said yes. Personally, I was just like, look, in our line of work, I can't do these things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just also not in my character. Like, I really don't want to hurt anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I would rather talk, as this podcast, you know, as this is like our 14th episode now. Like, I love talking, and I'd rather talk it out. I'm not a good fighter. You know, I'm obviously not in shape. I'm not here to like use a gun either. You know, I don't even have a gun registered under my name. You know, so I don't.
So all your guns are unregistered, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm hiding from the law. No, but the point
kidding.
here is that I was trying to hammer the point that, look, I played all these video games. It didn't make me want to kill anyone. It didn't make me want to run from the cops. You know, it didn't make me want to like do drugs or buy a prostitute. It's like, I think that's what, because she didn't grow up with it. She's actually from like Nepal, like a different country. So she didn't grow up with in American culture. And when she comes here, she hears these things the media says and thinks that, oh, that's exactly what this is. But when you grow up with these games, it's totally different. And it's like, dude, those games were fun. And I told her these words specifically: if your good parenting will trump a bad video game.
Absolutely.
I told her that. I'm like, if you love your children and you show them the right way, it will trump any bad video game, because I played all the bad ones. And
Quote unquote.
yeah, quote unquote, like the Grand Theft Autos and all those other ones that are like violent with blood. Played all of them. I have no inkling or desire to do the same exact things that they did.
Yeah.
You know? And it's just like, dude, I don't understand why video games get painted in such a bad light. And it's just like, I remember hearing that thing. Mortal Kombat was the game that started that whole ESRB ratings, because remember they had fatalities
the finishers
and
and the fatality.
Yeah.
Finish him.
Yeah, and so like you had people's fatalities where they pull out like people's heads.
Oh yeah, and the
stuff.
spine comes out with it.
Which is like, so how? Like, it can't even happen that way.
Rip out their heart. You know?
Yeah, it's just like, I think ripping out hearts was, I think, Kano's fatality, right, in the time. But also like ripping out the heart from Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. That's what prompted a PG-13, because they didn't have, it wasn't PG, but it also wasn't rated R. So I think it was like right in the middle.
There it is.
So stuff like that, it's just kind of like, it makes me wonder why these people don't just talk to people and then broaden their perspective.
Yeah.
You know, instead of assuming something and then just immediately like thinking that you're right, and without exposing yourself to possibly opening your mind, not necessarily being wrong, but opening your mind.
Exactly.
Broaden your perspective.
And our generation could be considered one of the big gamer generations, you know, because of what we grew up with. So that means there's probably millions of us out there who have played these exact games. Why aren't we all killing each other right now? You know, I mean, I'll concede this. Like, maybe there's a possibility that, you know, if there's someone who's inherently violent and plays these games, it might perpetuate that in that individual. But as a whole, I don't think it's going to change every kid and every person to become a violent, gun-toting.
It's those with the wrong upbringing, or perhaps...
But
where there are issues in home, mental issues. Another big topic that we could, veer off into. But
yeah, the point here is, it goes back to my main point. What I told her is like, your good parenting will trump a bad video game. Period. And I thank my parents for telling me, like, you know, this is not right. You know, this is the right way to do things.
While you're playing it, stop playing that. No,
no, that's not how you pick up a prostitute. Let me show you, son.
That would have been funny. That would have been funny. But you know what? We could be those parents now. It's like, man, this is not how you play Grand Theft Auto. This is not how you run from the cops. You go into this pay and spray.
All right.
Have you played GTA 5 though?
Yes.
Dude, it's so much harder to run from the cops in that game.
Oh my God, yes.
Like, it was easier in Vice City. You know, like that game was so easy to run from the cops.
it was easier too.
and
Paint Shop.
And 2, where it's like the top-down view.
Yeah.
Right? Oh my God.
Oh,
I never got to play 3. I wish I did.
Oh,
I
3
never
is
did.
still one of my favorites because 3 had all the cheat codes. So you can have a standoff with the cost because, you know, you put in a code, boom, fucking tank comes out of the sky. You just get into that shit and just plow every police car you get into. Or like, oh, let me get an unlimited rocket, you know, ammo or whatever. You can get anything you want within the first second you start the game.
Oh,
So-
they didn't limit it to like
Yeah.
or whatever.
I think by Vice City, like it would mess up your game if you did too many.
Oh, and definitely San Andreas. San Andreas, like if you did a
especially
lot
San
of codes. With San Andreas, definitely when you put in too many codes, by a certain mission, you will always fail it. And there's no way to progress further in the game. So it's just kind of a way of discouraging you from using too many cheat codes.
It corrupts your file in a way, or like
I guess.
I guess it corrupts the file and it makes it so that you will fail. There's this mission where you have to save a drunk guy from falling off the roof and you catch him in the truck.
Yeah.
But like if you use too many codes before that point, I never experienced this because I like to play the game wholly, and I also like to
me
play
too.
it with cheats. But then
When you mess around, of
yeah, when
course.
you mess
Yeah.
around. But then it's like when I played the game, like I put like some cheats or whatever, but not enough to the point where like this guy would just fall automatically and you fail.
Lame.
So there's no way of progressing the story of the game further. You'd have to kind of start over from the beginning, which sucks. I've never experienced that though, and San Andreas was such a fun game.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I'd say, like, I never played 3, but in the games that I played, I think 5 was definitely up there. But I still harken back to like Vice City. You know, I think that was still that's the game that got me hooked.
I think they had the best gameplay in Vice City, or the story as well.
Story.
Probably one of the
Yeah.
best stories.
Very 80s.
Yeah, and then the fact that you can have these businesses and then collect money from them like every so often, like I love that. I really felt like
See,
I was doing something.
promoted entrepreneurship.
Yeah,
this and
see?
that. I'm half joking, but no, seriously, that's
Yeah, no,
That's cool.
dude. See, like
that's cool.
you know, like I can't speak too harshly against somebody who doesn't like video games. Like if you don't like it, it's not your flavor. I get it.
Yeah.
And just like Alfred said in our last podcast, it's just like, dude, you could be the best tasting peach pie in the world. There's going to be somebody who just doesn't like peach pies, and you'll never make them happy, and that's okay. But I think to just flat out say that they're bad for you and you get nothing done, well, that's partially true, and it depends on the circumstances. Because if you're just sitting around and watching a TV show, you're not accomplishing anything more. You know, like, dude, if you wanna ride a similar tangent here, some video games are better than movies.
Yeah.
Like Mortal Kombat 11 is probably one of the greatest Mortal Kombats I've ever not really had the luxury of playing, but watching all the cutscenes. It's a great movie. It's a 3-hour-long movie you can actually watch. Watch and play
and be interactive with.
but watch. You can actually watch the whole thing on YouTube for free.
all the
whole
cutscenes.
thing, all the cutscenes you can watch for free. So I think that's really, really cool. Like if you can do that. Like what other video game lets you do that?
That's true.
You know? Like I think that's really cool, honestly. If you're able to like watch they put a lot of animation. Dude, animation's not cheap. It's not easy either.
Right.
So for the fact that you can watch a video game like that on YouTube for free, go watch it, man. Mortal Kombat Aftermath 11, it's 5 hours of content.
Dang.
Whoa.
It's a great movie.
and they had time to write this too. That's awesome.
Well, I think when Mortal Kombat first started out, they were under Midway Games or Midway Productions or something like that. Then they broke off and made their own thing called NetherRealm. And so now they have creative freedom. They didn't have to like adhere to rules and regulations from a bit or whatever it is the top is telling you downwards. They made their own thing. So I think after that happened, it's just like, all right, everything's off. Everything's on the table now, whatever you want. And the story was good. It was so good. So good.
Something similar too is the Final Fantasy series. Remember all their
That's right.
cutscenes? Like that was like revolutionary, like animation.
I definitely, especially at the time.
Or before its time. There you go.
Yeah,
That's the
like
term I'm
7,
looking for.
right?
Yeah.
I've never played 7 a whole lot. I know that one was like the polygon structure is really cool though. It's so vintage, but also the cutscenes were really cool.
Yeah.
Cutscenes,
right?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Not a whole lot. And then 10.
10 was really good.
Like James,
10
when I would
changed
hang
game.
out at James's house, I would watch him play Final Fantasy X like all the time.
That was more modern graphics.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
also cutscenes were a
Were
level
really
above.
good.
But
Like Titus, Yuna, and all those characters.
I would assume, I'm under the assumption that upon playing 7, 9, and 10, I think they had rendered the cutscenes so that they played as video files, not to get super tech or nerdy into
Yes.
it. But then when it cut back into gameplay, it was a little more polygony. But
yes,
because maybe the cutscenes were more movie-esque that way.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Be easier for it to process, I
Yeah.
guess. You know,
yeah, I wouldn't know because they do have to put this in a disc.
Yeah. So
You
probably
know, and
saves
disc is,
some
is
yeah.
limiting.
Yeah.
But those games had some pretty dope cutscenes too, and
Yeah,
but
man.
they were also whole game
Storylines. Actual storylines.
and the
Yeah.
whole storylines. And I think
Yeah.
like you want to talk about a Korean drama or like a TV show you're watching. It's like, dude, a video game is a little more immersive. Like you get to watch and. Some stories were good. Call of Duty Black Ops was good, and that was taking place during the Cold War. Here we are with the Russians again, but like it was a good story about a guy. It had such a great plot twist. Like I don't want to spoil too much. Actually, you guys, I don't think you're gonna play it, but I'm gonna say it anyway.
You're good. Go for
This
it.
guy was apparently like fighting an enemy that he thought was this. He was trying to fight an enemy that was actually himself. He was a sleeper agent for the Soviet Union.
oh,
Man.
He was actually trying to fight somebody, but really he fought himself, and he ended up assassinating somebody at
The
end of
identity.
it.
Yeah.
Something like that. Like you could watch it, but basically it's just like the story was so good. It was like, dude, really, this happened? Modern Warfare 2 was also a good story. It was just like it's like these people get killed. It's like what? No, it's like such plot twists. Even Ocarina of Time was a great
yes.
story.
man.
We all played that.
Yeah,
like
dude,
Ocarina of Time
seriously.
was great.
And for me, gaming, I'm an avid player of RPGs. Ocarina of Time. Anytime you're a one character and you're living his experiences, because back to what you were saying about stories, this is kind of like video games were like my books in a way. I wasn't a big reader, but it's like so for me, I was the character. And I wrote the narrative, and I made the choices in the story, and I lived his experiences through my gaming.
Yeah.
So that's why I love playing like RPGs. The
totally.
immersion of it.
Oh man, video games they were their own stories. Yeah, I am on that similar tangent.
And Ocarina was the one that started it for me.
Yeah, me too. Like that was actually the first Zelda game that I really played.
Same.
I also wasn't a big book reader, and I couldn't read books like the way people who read Harry Potter read them.
Same.
And,
same.
some people love Harry Potter.
Yeah.
And that's cool, and luckily they made that into a movie and made it something visually appealing.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Or maybe palatable for us that
Right.
prefer a visual
Exactly.
aspect.
Right. And I'm sure it drew a lot of people who probably weren't readers into reading. And I'm sure it
But yeah, exactly.
it encourages a lot of kids nowadays to be
Right.
readers, which is great.
Yeah, so like, and same with Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings was books for decades, right?
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
you think about Lord of the Rings, it's like those movies. Like I have no desire to read, but like I would now consider reading those books because those movies were so good.
Yeah.
Shout out Peter Jackson, good job.
Yeah, man.
And it's the same with like The Godfather. Didn't you read the book?
Oh, yes.
You loved the movie so much that you read the book.
Yeah, I had no idea it was a book. Obviously, Godfather's been around since the 70s. And I probably watched it the first time, like fully watched it for the first time back in, it was like maybe high school.
Yeah.
And so I had no idea it was even a book before that.
Yeah, See? But what would you think about the book?
Oh, the book was really good too. And
Just as immersive, maybe even more, perhaps.
yeah, because you delve deeper into the world of the Godfather. You learn all the backstories of certain characters and all the little things that the film can't tell you that are more implied. The book is able to go into detail about that, which kind of brings to my opinion on movies versus books. Like if you ask me, if you ever come across like a movie that came from a book, because people will always say the book is always better, which it will be. So always start with the movie first is my advice to you, because that's how it started with The Godfather. Because if you read the book, You're going to go into the movie with all these expectations, all these scenarios and characters and scenes that you fell in that you fell in love with that might possibly be cut out of the movie. And that's how people end up hating the film. Oh, it wasn't faithful to this, or they changed that, or they didn't put this character in. A lot of people said that about Lord of the Rings.
I think that's why series have been monetized in such a way where series makers for platforms like Netflix are able to really expound upon, all right, the book had this.
Yes.
I don't have an example on me right now, but
Game of Thrones.
Sure. Yeah.
I
haven't seen it.
It's not Netflix, but it's a series that was based on books.
Yeah.
But even
were they able to do that?
Even then, people say like Game of Thrones, it's not as good as the books.
No, especially the ending.
And they're just snobs. Just kidding.
They're just snobs. But I haven't read the
George
books.
R.R. Martin actually finish Game of Thrones? Did he finish it with the last book?
Not before the last season, but I don't know.
But now, I'm talking about now.
That I don't know.
I
haven't kept up.
Here's my take on that. When you have a book that's written by usually just one person, only they have the control to everything, and therefore you kind of get this one mind mentality where it's just like, dude, it's coming from one person. When you get a production, there's a lot of people's interests. Right?
Yes.
There's the director's interest. There is the
producers.
actor, the producers, the executive producers.
Right.
The
financiers.
finance it.
Yeah.
The executive producer are the financiers. You know, they're the ones who see the financial interests of everything. That's, the executive producer. And then you get the actors who want to, they want their interests too. They want to look good as this role, or they
how they want to portray this character.
Exactly how they want to portray, or how they want to be thought of as portraying these characters. And therefore, it's just kind of like, dude, what the heck? So I think that's the thing about like these movies and productions. They will always be of inferior quality because you have to consider so many more people and so many more interests that you will never really reach the same ceiling or you'll never break through this ceiling, that's been set by the book.
Right.
And my sister says this about Harry Potter. She's like, oh, but in the book, they talk about this in the book. And I'm just like, I get it. Like the book just has so much more creative freedom than we do, Right. And so it's just kind of like...
the movies have to wrap things up neatly, in a little box. We have a beginning, we have a middle, we have an end, and we have to fit the details in between that help to make it flow.
Right.
With a book, you can go from one thing and jump to another. You can go off on a tangent. You can pick a character and go into their backstory, and it'll all flow because it's a book. You can do that.
Because you're obliged to turn the page. Like, I got to find out more.
Exactly.
So, like with a book, of course, you're going to have that creative freedom. And therefore, like, it's never going to live up to the movie. That's why, like what you said, watch the movie first and then read the book. Because it's like, if you're really into the movie, you would definitely read the book. Yeah. At least that's how I see it.
Right.
Because that's how, like, I have no interest in reading books. There's some people out there who just love to read books. They're like Belle from, like, Beauty and the Beast. They love like picking up new books and reading that and putting it on their social media. And I get it, But, there's some people I know to be like super book readers. They'll read a book a day. I can't.
Wow.
No. I feel like so stupid sitting next to them.
It's not for everyone. Especially the way we all, depending on how you absorb information. For me, I'll have to read something a few times before I really understand.
Some people are visual learners too.
Yeah.
Like I'm a huge visual learner. Like I'd have to kind of like see it happen, and I'd also probably have to do it myself. But to read out instructions or to read out like a book and just like, I don't know, it doesn't, like, if somebody were to ask me how to change oil, which this guy is kind of, like, I can show them how to do it. That's easy, but that's my thing, I get it. And some people, they can read a book like in a day, but they wouldn't know how to like turn a wrench.
Yeah.
So it's not for everybody.
Yeah, everybody has their passions.
Yeah.
And to those people who, I would say, think of it as like dipping your feet into a pool. Watching a movie is dipping your feet in. It's only going to be like an hour and a half. You get your little taste of whatever the world is. If the water feels fine, dive in, read the book.
Yeah, go into the deep end.
Exactly.
So
that's how I think of it anyway.
Well, and then you're exactly right. Where it's just like,
you want to learn more about that world? read the book.
Yeah. And it depends on how into the lore you are. I know there's like another friend that I have. She liked The Witcher. The Witcher's, I think, also on that similar boat. It was a series on Netflix, and it was also
the second season just came out not that long ago.
Yeah, but she's I think was it based off a book or a game?
Game?
I want to say game.
I don't know.
For sure.
She was saying
for
game.
sure it's a game. I don't know if it came from a book though. I guess that's a possibility.
The point she was saying is like the series was so bad. And I was like, look, you got to look at it this way. Like a game will also have more creative freedom. How do you think Mortal Kombat has 5 hours of content aside from the gameplay? You know, they have creative freedom. You know, like a movie production has very, very limited creative freedom. That's why, like, we tend to appreciate good movies so much more. You know, like Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight is to me still one of my top 5 movies. Like I watched that on the way to Miami this year. Like, and I've seen it thousands of times. It's so fun to watch again and again because it's just such a good film.
Oh yeah.
Have you seen the new Batman yet?
I've not.
I haven't.
I want to see it.
I want to see it too.
I want to see. I hear the one thing that people complain about is that they said it was too dark. Not like cinematically or artistically. It was like literally dark. They're like they needed night vision goggles.
Someone in the editing room like kind of dialed it down a little bit.
Like, what the hell? Bump up the shadows, bro. Like, come on. It's funny. What are you doing, man? Like,
it was a vision test, and everybody is blind.
Yeah, that'd be funny. But I hear it's good.
The Godfather has a dark motif to it. If you notice, it's very dark.
It is, especially in the part where before the or during the wedding, rather. You know, like that part was really dark. But I think that added to that aesthetic.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially the shadows on Marlon Brando's face. It was just like just well done. Plus, like him wearing a black suit,
or like the scene where they bring Sonny to Bonacera. And
he
walks out of the shadows and, starts talking to him. Like,
cinematically, that looked very beautiful.
They played with a lot of darkness in that movie. And I guess maybe that's what they were trying to do in the Batman movie. And just overdid it.
I haven't seen it. And I would like to see it. I hear it was still good.
Okay.
I hope it's not as weird as like the Ben Affleck Batman. I wouldn't say he was the worst. I still think Clooney's Batman was the worst. He was the nipple Batman.
Yes. Yes.
He was the nipple Batman. I think he was the worst Batman. Although also funny because wasn't his Batman, but Batman and Robin was Clooney and that other guy, right? That other guy, the guy who played Robin, I hear his career got like tanked after that.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, have you heard anything from him since? Like, not really.
That's so true. I don't know that we have actually, but The Dark Knight to me is still my favorite. To me, The Dark Knight as a standalone film is better than anything Marvel has ever put out. Although, yes, I loved Endgame. That was a very like cumulative movie. Look how much effort they had to put. They'd set it up 21 movies in advance, to set up that movie. The Dark Knight had one, which was Batman Begins, which was also good, but I still think that The Dark Knight is the best hero movie. And I say this because it's like that Batman is the most realistic Batman. You feel like that Batman can actually exist.
Right.
Not only is Batman already a hero who doesn't have any powers other than being obscenely rich, Batman is just like a normal human being and he went through some traumatic stuff with his parents getting killed. And you relate to everything that movie has to put out, which includes the Joker. You feel like that guy is real. You feel like Ra's al Ghul could be real. You feel like Bane could be real.
Yeah.
When you think about the original Bane used comical venom to get like insanely ripped, right? And he would press these buttons and it would pump this like venom into his blood and he just like gets super buff and like roided out. When the Batman, the Nolan Bane was more of like he, instead of having like venom, would use anesthetic like aerosolized morphine or something like that just kept the pain away and it allowed him to just be buff and ripped and all this
kind
stuff.
of like a PCP or something.
Something. It's like it's real. It's not comical. Like I think they did have that comical Bane in one of those Clooney movies.
Oh yeah, it's the one with him and Poison Ivy.
Yeah, with Uma Thurman and
Schwarzenegger was in it too.
I forgot about that.
Chilled to perfection. Well, he had so many like the
He had
best.
so many one-liners in that
one-liners.
movie.
That's all they could give him.
Chill out.
Dude, Arnold was such a freaking icon.
Oh my God.
You know, still is. If you think about it, Arnold's just
He's one of the best.
It's such good. Terminator 2.
Terminator 2 for
That's
sure.
such a
guys.
good movie. But then you think about all these other movies, like he had these great one-liners. Dylan, you son of a bitch! It was like flexing.
Get down.
Get
Which
down!
Which he still says in every movie he's in.
Put that cookie down.
Put that cookie down.
Get to the chopper.
Get to the chop.
Do you remember
I'll
that
be
line?
back.
I'll be back. Yeah, that's a good one. It's funny too because like you remember that video we watched in high school of like this guy ordering pizza in the Arnold voice, and it was so close.
My.
I want to order a pizza with 9mm bullets. Dude, that one was good. That was a good video. It's an old video.
It's probably still out there somewhere.
I don't know, man. Like the depths of YouTube, or like some other like Daily Motion or something. Like non-common like streaming services, but you know, things back in the day definitely way better than
So much simpler times.
you know. I think though, moving forward, you know, it's nice to relive these times, and it's nice to remember these times. But it's also, I look at it as like, look, we lived in good times. We had it good before. And it's not like we're not having it good now. It's just like, at least we understood what it took to get here.
Yeah.
You know, like we understand the luxury of having cell phones because we lived in a time where you would just kind of do whatever you want. And then your parents would agree to pick you up here at a certain time. You remember that?
Yeah.
Right.
Like not having to bum off your friend's cell phone so you can call your dad.
And now
or
they
your
can
mom.
track you wherever you are.
Yeah, there's that too. So it's just like, to me, I like looking at all these older memories because it just kind of helps deepen your appreciation for certain things that we have now.
Puts things in a perspective.
Totally.
Puts things in a perspective. And, you know, yeah, if anything, it's just like, let's just move forward and, you know, live a good life. Don't be angry and learn to appreciate the things that you have now because they weren't always as good as they were. This is why I think kids nowadays, they just don't know anything, man. You know, but
And I'm sure that's what the adults of the previous generation
that's
said
probably
about us.
what they say about us too when we were growing up.
So
Like,
it's
these
trickle
kids
effect.
So
I-
thanks, Tim.
for
Now
sure.
we're fucking old. Since you said
kind
that.
of
No.
are. Like some of our generations having kids, and it's just
Yeah.
like, you know, we're kind of in that age bracket now where it's just like, you know, you could be a parent and you could be a providing parent.
Yeah.
So it's just like, you know, like I'm older than my dad was when he first had me. So it's just kind of like, dang, I wonder what he was thinking when I was my age. When I was his age. Am I saying this right? I wonder know what he was thinking at this age, because I'm like 33 this year, turning on 34, which means I was like 2 or 3 growing up. Like I can't imagine like having a kid now because I don't have one,
Yeah.
hopefully. But like
Right.
the point here is like I wouldn't even know what to deal with. Like I wouldn't even know what to do. How did he know? You know? So it's weird. It's really weird.
It's easy to kind of criticize your parents sometimes now that you're older. But then one thing my dad used to always say was that when you're a parent for the first time.
That's so true.
I heard that too.
Right.
Mutual buddy that, you know, to make a long story short, they came out of the hospital and then, you know, obviously medical professionals are not supposed to really tell you what to do. And they were like, what do we do? What do we do? I guess we're just going to figure it out. And they figured it out and they're in a good spot. So
All right.
I hear a lot of that too. It's like, dude, we just figured it out along the way. You know, some things you learn from other people. I guess what this
Sometimes.
generation has now is that they can YouTube things.
Yeah. This is true.
YouTube parenting.
how
to
do I
be a
swaddle
dad.
a baby?
Well, that's true. You
That's
could.
true. You can learn that. You know, in the same way that you can make a burrito. You know, not exactly the same way, but you know what I mean. It's just
Yeah.
like you can YouTube search both things, and
Yeah.
it's like, you know, in the same easy way. Like, in fact, I don't claim to be a mechanic. I just learn everything off of YouTube. I'm a certified YouTube mechanic, but also there's also a practice, like actually going on and learning these kinds of things. So there is that too. And that battery's out, which means we're almost out of time. But anyway, to wrap things up, you know, I think we should just really appreciate what we have now. And it's really great. Like having a guy like Derick on the podcast is really, to me, he's a guy that's been with me in mind and heart since leaving high school. And although I don't really I don't say it because I don't really think about it, because I just live it. Like a lot of the things that I do are really because of him. And it's really an honor to have you here.
Oh, thank you.
Because you're just a good sign of the past. And also a way to remember things and appreciate things now. So
going on into
the future.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's awesome.
It's nice to have you, man. Thanks for coming.
We
really
welcome.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for coming, Derek.
Oh yeah, man. Thank you
Appreciate
guys for having me. Man, this was quite an experience. Like Tim said, I nearly didn't come today, and I'm glad your efforts, everything you put together convinced me otherwise. I was like, okay, I can't not show up now. Everything they've gone through to welcome me here and to make me feel comfortable and appreciated, even though it's just, I'm just a simple guy and we're just friends here, sitting around talking. But, it made me feel like I'm an important person today.
Of course, because you are, we the people we bring on are very important, and because they're not only are they synonymous with what we do and what we think, it's just that they're just cool people. That's it. And we're just talking. That's
awesome, right?
And this stuff's going to go on even off the air. We're still going to talk and, have our cigars after this.
Yep.
So,
yeah, man.
But thanks again, Derek. Really appreciate you coming and having you here on the show.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Can't wait to do it again.
we will. Hopefully next time it's the Kpop podcast. So
which you are welcome to.
All right.
Sit in.
Let me know.
Yeah, man. All right, man. We're out.
Hey guys, Jason from Indescendants here. Thanks for watching our video. And for more videos, more content, more how-tos, more music, hit the subscribe button below.